It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Tuesday, April the 16th. Good morning. And I'm just realizing the best thing about last week, which for us was a week off, was I didn't speak until like noon every day. Man. You know,
nice?
we roll in early in the morning, we chat a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, what was different about last week? Oh, that's right. I just read a couple books and literally only opened my mouth if Rosemary was glaring at me long enough to force me to speak to her. And then after about 12, I was fine. But yeah, here we are. It's early morning, and it's a beautiful day in Minnesota. There, I said it. It's a beautiful day. I don't even know if it is going to be a beautiful day. I don't care.
It's supposed to rain like hell.
Whatever. I'm in a great mood.
Which is beautiful. I love rain.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what really got me feeling pretty good is on the KQ Facebook page, or I'm sorry, on the KQ website, I should say, we've got KQ's Minnesota Bestest 2024 poll is up at KQRS92KQRS.com, and I'm looking down all the categories, and you can go on there at any time, and you can vote for all of these, for tons of different things. And as opposed to, say, a year ago when I didn't know what any of these things were, I'm looking at this going, oh, yeah, I've got some opinions. There's some things I still need some guidance on. But well over, a year into my, what am I into now? 16 months. Man, I'm like, wow, I've gotten around. I'm starting to feel like a bit of a local, and it just put me in a good mood.
That's Steve Gorman. He gets around. I was actually doing that when you started talking. You jarred me just a little bit because I was voting. I'm down to bestest local cover band besides Hairball.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I've never heard any of these.
First of all, I didn't put my band in there. I just want to make that clear.
What?
I wasn't responsible for creating this list.
Wait, hold on, Candace. You have a band? No way.
Yeah, sabotage. I did go ahead and make the vote for you, Candace, but I will expect a favor in return. I don't know, maybe something out of the vending machine every day for a week, or I don't know, something like that.
I too voted for Sabotage, Candace's Black Sabbath tribute act cover band. But the reason is, it's the only one I've seen on the list. I mean, here's the deal. I would have voted for Sabotage regardless of if I thought someone was better. Yeah. But the truth is, I can only speak to what I know, and that is that Sabotage rocks. And so you got my vote.
You'll Know is pretty good. I've seen those. Yeah, some of these I haven't. I got to get out more. And, that's what summers are for, right? Getting out and seeing the band, staying up late on school nights, right? No?
Oh, sure. Bestest Minnesota-based beer was an easy one for me, too. And I'll tell you why.
I wouldn't even vote on it.
No, it was easy for me, but it's just personal. Go back to the late '80s when your friend Steve was living on just pennies a week, and I found a grocery store right on the corner of a place I moved in 1987 that was offering for very, very, very little money 6 packs of Hamm's beer.
Oh, that's because it's piss.
Yeah, that's not the point. The point is it was affordable,
I drank a lot of
bear
piss
is
in my day.
just such a cute little mascot. And
I love Hams.
I know, and
Yeah,
I got on.
shirt.
I'd never heard of it until 1987. Moved to Atlanta, and I was like, oh man, this beer is right in my budget. And so there's just always a soft spot. I mean, I'm just gonna say. Always a soft spot. Now, the grain belt, the sign on the Hennepin Bridge, I still love that. I love driving over that bridge at night and seeing the big grain belt sign. So there's things tugging at me on this poll. It's fascinating, though. There's so many categories. I would ask everybody to go place your votes because this is actually a lot of fun.
It's controversial. It's got me a little worked up this morning, to be honest with you. I don't know if fun is the word I would apply to it, but because it does get you worked up. Like, I don't know. I just went with the beer I've drank the most. I mean, they've got a lot of great beers on here, but Grain Belt Northeast, I've drank, a tankard of that. Hams. I've drank a lot of that too. Some of these other ones, Surly Furious is delicious, but I've only had a few of them. Yeah, big fan of that one.
But I'm a fan. But I'm sorry to cut you off, Brian. But I also see there was a night where my wife and I, who I'll for this conversation called Mrs. Gorman, couple 3 Surly Furious, and she turned the corner. It something about it's strong, and it brought out the Hornet, and we had a big blow up one night, and we've since looked back and realized, it was simply she was just going with the sound of she was going with the title Furious, and
it's right in the name.
Somehow I was responsible for all of not just her problems, but planet Earth's problems, and so we tread lightly with that, but it was was a real Minnesota moment last summer where I was like, wow, I guess we're locals now because we're having a brawl purely fueled by local beer. This is great.
Yeah, you're right. Best local frozen pizza. See, I don't want to get into this because
that's tough, isn't it?
You have to almost do this by yourself. If you try to do this with a group of people, I think that it's going to get people, standing up.
It's great. My first weekend in town a year ago, January. First Saturday night I'm in town, there was NFL games being played, and my Tennessee Titans were on. And my buddy Steve, who lives out west, he goes, "Hey, come out to my house and let's watch the game." And I said, "Let's go." I drive out there. I'm excited. And he lives out Plymouth, and we get to the house, and he pulls out a Heggies, and I go, "What's that?" And he goes, Oh, you'll learn all about the Heggies. And so he gave me the whole thing about this is the local. And so I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. And so I see that, and I'm like, yeah, that's where I want to go. But, oh, my God, Devani's, our good friends at Devani's.
Is on their 7th Avenue Pizza, which has been – I've been in a relationship with 7th Avenue Pizzas for a long time. I mean, that's they've gotten me through a lot of dark days.
I'm excited. This is good stuff.
Nights.
And by the way, when I said it's a lot of fun, this is what I meant. It's a real gut-wrencher.
It is a gut wrencher, but it is a lot of fun. I like my favorite Bloody Mary. I've literally had a Bloody Mary at every one of these places. So, it's then I start thinking about a Bloody Mary. Is it too soon for a Bloody Candace? That's how you can return the favor.
Perfect.
I'll take one Bloody Mary, make mine a double, and we'll move along here. I wonder any calamari on a local pizza. The reason I bring that up, a crazy pet story. Pets, no matter how much we love them, will often drive us crazy. And then there are the exotic pets. That's a whole different category. And there's an exotic pet recently purchased driving one family very crazy. We're coming back with that at 6:17. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, April the 16th. Dream On from Aerosmith. The dream is not over. Last week, Aerosmith announced, hey, we're back. Steven's voice is okay. We're going to go back on the road and finish the Peace Out tour a year later. But this fall, they're hitting the road again. They will be coming through. I believe they're at the XL Energy Center at some point. I bet we'll give away a bunch of tickets. Aerosmith, still dreaming on. I'm surprised. I thought when Tyler pulled up lame after 3 shows, that was going to be it. I thought they were gone, daddy gone. But no, they're back. Apparently, we'll see how the tour goes. 2000, what was it, 3. Our son was about to be 3 years old, and he was already speaking and starting to put together words and, sentences and complete thoughts. And he walked out of his room one day, and he looked at me and Rosemary, and he goes, "I want a bed." We said, "What?" He goes, "I want a bed. I'm a big boy." He was tired of his crib. And I said, "Oh, I know, buddy. It's exciting to think about a bed, isn't it?" And I thought, okay, well, we're not going to have this conversation because you're 2.5 and you don't have any idea what you're talking about. My wife went, "Honey, he wants a bed. He's ready for a bed." And I said, "No, he's not. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's putting words together, and he knows that big boys get beds, but he doesn't understand the consequences of us removing him from a crib and putting him in a bed." I lost that argument.
Yeah.
And within a week, there was a bed in his room. And guess what happened? He never stayed in it. He had no capacity to not immediately get out of that bed and chase us when we left the room. And I was like, what did I tell you? What the hell? Why would we listen to a 2.5 or 2 3/4-year-old child about anything? Put it back in his... What's that?
Or a wife, for that matter.
Well, hey, you know what? There was a baby as well. It was toddler baby tunnel, and decisions were made on the fly. And you're constantly algorithm is all over the place. You're like, okay, yes, no, yes, no.
It almost sounds juxtapositioned in a lot of families. I would have been arguing for that. Give her a bed because I have 2 girls, but because I was the one that was always wrong. But in this case, you lived and you learned. And did he go back into the crib?
He did. He did.
Yeah.
And he was thrilled. He was like, oh, thank God. Like barriers, boundaries. And so, and it was a reminder, and I would mention that throughout life as our then, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old, your precocious, brilliant little children say things, and I'm like, wait a minute. It's a 7-year-old. I wouldn't listen to some other 7-year-old, and just because he's my 7-year-old doesn't mean he's a genius.
Good point.
An Oklahoma family has learned this lesson very painfully. They had a 9-year-old son, but from the day he turned 3, at his 3rd birthday, it started every year for his birthday, every Christmas, every holiday. He would say to his parents, I want an octopus. Not a bed. Not an inanimate object you can just put in the storage. I want an octopus. And so his parents, after 6 years of hearing about it, were like, this kid's been obsessed with octopi since he was 3. Maybe we should look into it. Maybe we should. By the way, let me say this. They are not already tropical fish people. They are not fish people. They just had a son who was obsessed with an octopus. So when he turned 9, they said, let's do this. Let's get this kid a pet octopus. Saltwater tank.
What could possibly go wrong?
A saltwater tank, water cycling system, food supplies. My man figured it was going to be around $600 to get an octopus into the house. Let's see here. Terrence, the octopus, arrived. Terrence was actually a female.
No. All right.
Terrence, the female, started releasing what is known as a chandelier of eggs 2 months after she arrived.
Chandelier of eggs.
Experts told this family, no, those eggs are unfertilized. It's no big deal. No, they were very much fertilized. Terrence let loose with 50 babies.
Yeah.
50. You can't keep 50 octopi in a tank unless it's the size of Minnesota.
That's why we have toilets.
Yeah, so 50 octopi later, they're trying to find homes for these octopi. You know how it is when someone goes, I just found a litter of 6 kittens, and then someone spends a month and eventually places 6 cats?
Oh, yeah.
Try placing 50 octopi. Ain't going to happen. They're now thousands of dollars into equipment, more tanks, doing all they can to say, like you said, Zepp, this is a toilet flush away from being problem solved.
Maybe a little sushi, huh? Raise those suckers, sell them off to the neighbors. I mean, it sounds a little butter, some salt.
Octopi. Just because your kid wants an octopus, you know how much research I would do before bringing an octopus into the house?
Yeah, Sydney wanted a horse. A horse. We lived in town. She wanted a horse. She got a horse, by God. And not just any horse. It was the best robot horse they sold at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a little Butterscotch, I think was its name. And she was disappointed. We weren't. And by the way, lost interest in the fake horse very quickly.
We had that, yeah.
There was a fake whole horse thing. I remember we did a story years ago about, now this young kid ordered it off Amazon. He was just old enough to figure out how to order something off Amazon. He wanted a turtle. What's wrong with a turtle? Huh? A little turtle? It sounds like fun. That's something I'd get my kid, except this was a tortoise that would live to be about 120, 130 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've never had a pet before that I would have to will to someone, but you wouldn't have to worry about, I guess, the pet dying, of old age and then going through that traumatic experience with your kid. But the octopus, well, there you go. That's a parenting learning lesson. Much tougher than putting them back in the crib. You've got all the octopi, I guess. But I mean, I suppose the kid's already hip to it. Now you have to explain the circle of life, then how we don't keep 50 octopi around. They've got to go.
Sometimes the best intentions, especially where pets go, can go awry. As has been well documented on this show. Chauncey Gorman, one of 6 in a litter. They were all adorable. We picked the one who had all of the issues, health issue after health issue. Now, whatever. You take the hits. He's a part of the family. We're never going to leave a stone unturned. We take good care of the guy. But looking back, I'm like, wow, we had dogs before, and they just ate and peed and crapped and chased stuff and then went home and went to bed. That's all they did. They weren't on constant, lung watch 2024.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, totally worth it. But yeah, sometimes, you think you're doing one thing, you're really doing another. You think you're bringing home an octopus, you're bringing home 51 octopi.
Oh, well, yeah, like I said, the family's learning as a whole. Well, let's get into the pet thing. I love talking about pets, especially when they frustrate us, when they get the best of us. So I don't know what the topic is exactly, but just when pets turn our lives upside down.
When the best intentions pet intentions go awry.
Like when a pet turns to a pest, perhaps.
Yeah.
All right, we'll fire them up. 651-989-ROCK. That's the talk and text line. We got to get along the Mike Evans Hollywood Report coming up in minutes. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is time right now for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, Steve, Candace, Zeppers, Tony. It's Tuesday.
Zeppers.
You know what that is? It means that you can see any movie that's out right now at Marcus Theaters for only $6. That's at any movie at any Marcus Theater. Oh, I love Tuesdays. A great time to go see a movie at the great theater chain Marcus. So Hannah Reid, the former armorer of the movie Rust, has officially been sentenced to 18 months in prison for her negligence when an Alec Baldwin shot and killed Helena Hutchins. You know, I think I'm the only Hollywood reporter who actually believes Alec Baldwin will still do some time in jail. Talking to some of my other Hollywood reporters, they seem to believe by her going to jail that that'll let Alex off the hook. I don't believe that. I disagree. We'll see. Now, today, I have 3 television shows that I want to recommend, and the 3 of them could not be more different from each other. I mean, very different. But I liked them all. We start off with a great miniseries on Netflix called The Gentleman, produced by Guy Ritchie, a spin from his 2019 movie, and starring Theo James. Now, this is set in current-day England. And when the old man, a duke, dies, he leaves his entire filthy rich estate to his smart, hip, younger son, not his idiot, clueless, older son. Usually it would have been left to the older sibling. There's drugs, there's crime, and yet there's comedy in this thing. I really like The Gentleman. It's on Netflix, 4 stars. Again, limited series, only 8 episodes. You might want to binge this one. Next, on several streamers, again, a movie that couldn't be more different from Gentleman. It's called Miracle Club, a movie with oldies but goodies, Kathy Bates, Maggie Smith. They star in this sweet, well-acted story of family, death, aging, dying, and coming together. It is very well done. Miracle Club. And last but not least, and certainly very different from the first 2, The Testimony of Moses. It's on Netflix. It's a 3-part series that is getting huge viewership. Hey, all 3 or none of the 3 may be your cup of tea, but as your Hollywood reporter, I watch them all, and I liked all 3 of those. And while I said I was going to back off OJ a bit, get ready for a Lifetime TV 2-night event. The Life and Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. You know, having covered all 3 of O.J. Simpson trials and actually doing the covering on KQRS for the last 27 years, some of the exclusive nuggets from my Friday report may be exposed in this TV special. I haven't seen it, but if so, remember, you heard it here first. Hey, have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Mike Evans, see ya.
Mike Evans Hollywood Report. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, April the 16th. We told the story of a guy in Oklahoma who bought his son an octopus because his son said, I want an octopus. 50 octopi eggs hatched shortly thereafter. My man is sitting on 50 1 octopi, which that's more than they have at the National Aquarium in Baltimore, I'm pretty sure. That's more than they have there by like 40, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So sometimes, the best intentions with our pets go horribly awry. Clementine, the greatest Gorman dog ever. No disrespect to Chauncey, but there's always that one that, Clementine could basically make scrambled eggs. She could do anything. She was brilliant. But we thought she was so smart. Again, you get younger parents or pet parents, you just get ahead of yourself and you think we don't need to leave her in a crate. She's too smart to do anything wrong. After she had been crate trained, we thought maybe it's time to let her out, even though we were ignoring the fact that she actually loved her crate. It was her sanctuary. We returned home from a night out, and there was an entire couch cushion that was missing from the couch. One cushion. It was like a purpley velvet full of feathers of some sort. And oh boy,
sounds comfortable.
Boy, those feathers were all over the house, weren't they?
Yeah.
Literally everywhere. Sometimes you just don't see it coming. But
No.
pet experiences can go wrong. On the KQRS Facebook page, we have a post. What's the crazy pet story? When did your pet turn your life upside down? Alex posted a free cat that now costs me $170 a month in special food and allergy shots.
Yeah. Sometimes I think Dad could be a hard man. Sometimes I think he had it right. If the pets are good as long as they're enjoyable. And if they're not, then we have a rock pile for them.
Well, oh boy, I can't talk about the rock pile, but I can talk about the fact that it's kind of like being a fan of a professional sports team. If they suck, get a new team.
I think I've just been around so many pets because first of all, there's the puppy thing. If anyone knows how to break in a puppy without it howling all night for about 3 weeks, I'd love to know it because I know lots of dog owners. We've had several dogs, many dogs, and that turns your life upside down. You talk about the new kid, and you go through that same break-in period, that same phase often with puppies, and that's why I think I have a hard time reintroducing a pet into my life, into my home. It's just going to be a lot. I'm a lot to deal with myself.
Sure.
I just can't imagine bringing another animal into the house.
I think that as much as I do know, and we have vowed that Chauncey will live forever, if we do find ourselves without a dog again, I don't think there's another puppy. I might do the thing where I just adopt adult dogs who only have a few years left to give them a nice, comfortable life.
Well, that's nice.
Then that might also just be too gut-wrenching as well. Yeah, the idea of a new puppy, I don't know, man. That's
a lot of energy.
Now, it's a bridge too far. Instead of looking forward into our pet experiences, let's look back quickly. It's April 16th. On this day in 1996, the Chicago Bulls won their 70th game of the regular season. That put them as the winningest team in NBA history. They went on, of course, to win 2 more. 72-10 regular season. They then went on to beat Seattle in the Seattle Supersonics in the finals. Therefore, the 95-96 Bulls are considered the greatest NBA team of all time. Now, the Golden State Warriors in 2016, and here's a note for everyone of my son's generation. Yes, they won 73 games in the regular season, but they did not win the finals. Suck it, Golden State. The Bulls of 95-96 are still the best team ever. And speaking of best ever, on this day in 1999, Wayne Gretzky retired.
Ah, the great one.
And I love when I read things about Gretzky and they say, people still write, considered as one of the greatest ever. Like,
what?
No.
One of the greatest human beings ever?
Yeah, no. The conversation about hockey starts and ends with Wayne Gretzky. If you're talking about, I don't know, I think it is best, Mario Lemieux, shut up. Lemieux was great. Gordie Howe was great. There's so many greats. There's only one great one.
Yeah, especially in hockey, you can take that argument to other sports if you want, but not hockey. Remember, when he retired with the Rangers, he had led them in scoring for 3 seasons, practically went out on top. I think he led the league in assists 2 of his last 3 seasons. He hung it up because his gut told him to.
Yeah.
He just felt like he had lost a step. Any other player would have played for 5 more years.
The leading scorer in league history by a mile. If you remove his goals, he's still the leading scorer in league history just for all the assists. It's insanity.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Tuesday, April the 16th. In about 30 minutes, we're going to have a game on this show, and we're going to be giving away tickets to see Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Experience. They're in town a week from tonight. Oh, that'll be fun. We're going to play a little game called Guess or BS. Always a good time. And in about an hour from right now, Jason Bonham himself will call in, and we'll see what's on his mind. We'll catch up with a great drummer in his own right, and, of course, the son of Led Zeppelin's John Bonham. That's in an hour from right now. So far on the show today, we've had a few things on our mind. Pets comes to the front of mind. A story about an Oklahoma family who bought for their son, their 9-year-old son, his dream pet, an octopus. Terrence the octopus turned out to be Terry the octopus. He was a she, and she hatched 50 other octopi. So they have 51 octopi now. 51 octopus in what was supposed to be one. Sometimes the best intentions go awry, especially when it comes to pets, especially when it's pets for our kids. On the KQ Facebook page, we're wondering about times when your pets have turned your life upside down. And in the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK, we've got a caller who wants to share a story. Candace, who's on the horn?
We have John from Boyceville, Wisconsin.
John, good morning.
Hey.
John-O. Not hearing John.
John!
Oh, I'm hearing John. You guys aren't hearing John? Push that other button there, Candace, when you get a moment.
Wow. John, you with us?
Yeah, he's hang tight, John.
Okay.
All right.
There I
you
go.
there?
I got you, John. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What do you got for us, brother?
I was working on a piece of farm machinery in the yard one time, and I had KQ on in the pickup with the door open.
Atta
The
boy.
dog jumped in. It happened to be Friday the 13th, by the way. The dog jumped in the truck and drove it into the feed bin.
Oh, God.
And being Friday the 13th, I thought, geez, I bet the folks at KQ would like to hear it. So I got on the morning show that day, too.
Yeah, that's good for two appearances on the show.
What kind of dog are we talking about?
It was a German Shepherd Border Collie cross.
Oh, God, that's way
lucky
too smart for one dog.
Right, yeah, no kidding. A Border Collie and a German Shepherd cross. Luckily, there was a grain bin there. Otherwise, he might have ended up in the next county.
Right.
That's a dog who literally adjusted the mirrors before slipping it into gear. I guarantee it, man.
He was just waiting for his shot.
That's great. John, thank you for the call, brother. We appreciate it.
Oh,
You're very
gosh.
welcome.
I had a neighbor with a Border Collie, and that dog taught itself. You know how dogs squeaky toys. There's the one that looks like a rolled up newspaper. I'm sure you've seen that. You get it at the go to PetSmart. You got the it squeaks. It looks like an old school rolled up newspaper.
Sure.
This guy's Border Collie had that dog, had one of those, and I watched this happen. Not the first time, but I saw it happen regularly. The guy watched a lot of hockey. The Border Collie would stare at the TV with his owner. And then one day, the Border Collie put that rolled up newspaper squeaky chew toy in his mouth and got a tennis ball and started playing hockey, like with a stick in his mouth.
Brilliant.
Around the house. And then put the ball at his owner's feet, which he would do to say throw the ball and play fetch. But this time, he stood in a doorway as if he were a goalie. And the guy would kick the tennis ball, and the dog would block it with that toy hanging out of his mouth like a hockey stick.
See, every time we do a pet segment, even when it's about how our pets turn our lives upside down, now I think I want to get a pet again. Because what an awesome companion. It reminds me of my buddy Angelo's little dog, terrier, named Rocky, plays soccer. And by the way, Rocky's pretty damn good. If you can get the ball away from Rocky in the backyard, you know your soccer. You might have your work cut out for you with him, Steve. He's got some moves, the way he works that ball. I haven't seen him put it in the net yet, but yeah, like I said, he just, if you need someone to kill the clock, do they do that in soccer with the soccer ball?
Oh, yeah.
Rocky's your dog.
Sure.
You've got Michelle on the KQ Facebook page this morning. How did our pets turn our lives upside down? When my dog Miracle caused me to slip on my steps and break my leg in 2 places.
Oh, yeah, Miracle. Yeah.
There's a picture of Michelle's foot in the big cast. Oof. Is that Miracle or is that the cat? That might be the cat that gets to and Miracle.
That's rough.
The pets are all there keeping her. Yeah, that is rough.
Yeah, the one thing you got to remember in life, don't have a friend who's an actual dog trainer, because you'll hang out with them and their dog and think, I want that. I can do that. And here's the answer. No, you can't.
Yeah. Recently with a buddy, and he's got a border collie, and the border collie's going nuts. I go, yeah, my daughter has one too. You can't control him, and he did something with his finger and went.
Yep,
that's what he did. Something like that. And the dog came over and just sat down right by his leg. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, our buddy Ian in Atlanta was a dog trainer. And so our dog Clementine was the greatest dog ever, largely because Ian taught us how to teach her. Like, we were around pre-kid. I got nothing to do in a day except hang out at my friend's pet store and watch him train other dogs. Yeah. And it was amazing. And because of it, Rosemary and I had a wonderfully trained, amazing dog. Yeah. Ian had 3 dogs. He had a pit bull, he had a border collie, and he had an Aussie Shepherd. That was his 3 dogs.
All right.
And now just that's one example, but you can imagine this. So at the pet store, the 3 dogs would be in there all the time. They had a big room where dogs could go in and play. Our dog Clementine would show up. Another dog would show up. There'd be 6 or 7 dogs all in a play area playing hard, wrestling, a scrum, not fighting, but, going at it.
Yeah.
And in the middle of 6 or 7 dogs, Ian could literally say this. His border collie, the Aussie Shepherd's name was Mike, and he would literally go, Mike, out. And that Aussie Shepherd would jump as if shocked by an electric chair and run to his little corner and just sit there. And then he'd go, Olive, out. And the pit bull would scream across the room away from the other dogs and sit down and wait for further instruction. And he'd go, Bray, out. And Bray, the border collie, would run across the room and sit down. And I saw that one time and I thought, I am standing next to, it's like David Blaine magic tricks watching a guy with that kind of control of his dogs.
Yes.
And then at some point you do realize, like, I got sit, I got stay, I feel like Einstein. Right. That's as far as this is going to go.
No, it's time, it's patience, it's discipline, all of the things that most of us don't apply to our pets. I bet the KQ Talk and Text line is lighting up with some pet stories.
Candace, who we got on the phone?
Carrie from Baldwin, Wisconsin.
Carrie, good morning.
Good morning.
What's happening?
Well, I had to call in about my dog Murphy.
Okay.
I just recently lost him.
Sorry.
But he taught himself how to open our front door.
Oh, boy. Wait, from inside or from outside?
From inside, so he would end up outside.
Oh, no.
And so, yeah, it was pretty interesting. The first time, we came home, and it's like, oh, why is Murphy out? And we thought, oh, well, we must have not latched it. And then we figured out, So we ended up we put a screen door on, thinking, okay, that'll help, Well, no, he, of course, taught himself how to open that, too.
Yeah.
And then, so pretty soon we had to just switch our whole knob system and all that kind of stuff. But, he ended up teaching himself how to open gates and all kinds of stuff.
What kind of dog was he?
A pretty smart dog.
What kind of dog?
He was an Irish Wolfhound.
Oh, my gosh, and just a giant as well.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry you lost him. That sounds like a good boy.
He was.
Yeah, thank you for the call.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. I mean, the breakout artists. There are some dogs, because they all have personalities, just like we do, each in their own individual personality. Yeah, and we had one that was a breakout specialist. Now, he was a hunting dog, so we kept him out. We had a large barn, converted barn into a kennel kind of thing. But, you had to, it was a padlock. It was a click-down big lock.
Yeah.
There wasn't just a latch. There wasn't a latch that could hold Duke. Here's W. Joseph on the KQ Facebook post. How did a pet turn your life upside down? Well, he writes, coworker found, rescued 2 kittens New Year's Day 2016 when it was 20 below. We can't keep them. My wife really wanted cats. I'm allergic to cats. We now have 3 cats, and I take a daily allergy pill.
Sure,
happy
you
wife,
do.
happy life.
Rosemary and I, our first pet was a cat, Marbles, a solid black cat we named Marbles, as in she's lost her marbles. That was the thinking, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We got that cat in 1991 or early 92, and I had never had a cat. I had no interest in a cat. But again, like, this will make me look like a great guy. Let's go get a cat. We brought Marbles home. All was well. 6-8 months pass. I'm on the road, and Rosemary says, "I think Marbles needs a friend." And I'm on long distance, and I'm like, "Okay, this is costing us money. I don't even want to know what that means. Do what you got to do," which means another cat. Rosemary goes and gets another cat, and we name that cat Binky. So Marbles and Binky, I come home to find out, now we have 2 cats. Well, Marbles had already adopted Rosemary. Like, that was her person. The only person on earth Marbles cared about was Rosemary. Binky took a shine to me. So suddenly I was like, oh, this is cool. I get it now. We each have kind of a cat that wants to hang out with us. And Binky was wild and a great hunter and an action cat. And Marbles just wanted to curl up in a ball and sit there. So it was great until they were 6 and 7 years old. And then one day, without warning, wake up in the morning, walk out in the den, and I'm like, I think I smell cat pee. What's going on?
Oh.
And I look, and on one of the baseboards in the room, just right there in the corner, I can see a stain. And I'm like, oh, my God, one of the cats, peed on the wall. And Rosemary goes, why? That's weird. That's like a marking thing. Yeah. And so here's what happened, apparently. At the ages of 6 and 7, the cats decided to have a marking war and get all territorial with my home.
Yes, well, there was a spat at the litter box, and those things escalate, much like they do with roommates and or children.
Oh, it was a year. With the litter boxes were so clean. We scooped them twice a day, freshened them constantly. It wasn't that. It was just about territory. Go to the vet. The vet's like, well, we can give them sedatives. I'm like, no, I don't want to dope up my cats. What do we do? And ultimately, what happened?
Sedatives.
The only thing we ended up doing, which was the only way to solve it, was we gave Binky away to my buddy Andrew took her.
Okay, well, it stayed with a buddy, but you got to separate the cats. They don't get along anymore. It's that's a heartbreaker because, cat pee. No one lives with that. The dog, all right, there's a smell and you get out the carpet cleaner, but cat pee, that gets in the wood. That gets in the foundation.
That's exactly what it was. It was a wood floor, and then you've got the molding along the bottom, and then the baseboard. And good God Almighty. I mean, to whoever lives at 419 9th Street in Atlanta, Georgia right now, I apologize. We did all we could for you. 25, almost 30 years after that war started, I'm sure they still have moments of something wafting out of that nice wood floor. They go, what the hell?
I know, right?
Absolutely brutal.
Absolutely brutal. Well, we got to stay on time. We're going to have to get back to this pet thing. The KQ Facebook page is filling up, so hang tight with your pet turned your life upside down. Phone calls, we'll get back to that. We're going to reserve the request line now. It's game show time. Jason Bonham will join us here at 8 o'clock to talk about Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening. That's happening 1 week from tonight, Tuesday, April 23rd at the Uptown Theater. And we're playing a little version of Yes or BS, the Zeppelin edition. Of course, we'll need two callers, 651-989-ROCK. Get on the line. Prize provided by Live Nation. That's coming at 7:20. Let's call it 7. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, April the 16th. Good morning. We are having a fine time talking about pets and all the times that pets have turned our life upside down. But right now we're going to take a break from that and discuss the fact that Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin experience is going to be in town a week from tonight at the Uptown Theater. That'll turn your life upside down. A little bit of Led Zeppelin music is almost always what the doctor has called for. Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin experience. This is, of course, John Bonham's son, Jason, a great drummer in his own right, has a crack band, and they have been doing this gig for years. They not only play Led Zeppelin music, but during the show, Jason tells stories, anecdotes from his life. There are rarely seen home movies of he and his father. There are photographs, all kinds of things. It's a multi. It's an audio-visual show about Jason's life, his dad's career, et cetera, et cetera. It's a great show. Anyway, we would love to send a couple of listeners, or a listener, I should say, with 2 tickets to see that show. So we're going to play a little game right now. Today's game is Yes or BS, Led Zeppelin edition. And Candace, we do have 2 callers locked and loaded. Who is contestant number 1?
Patrick from St. Paul.
Patrick, good morning.
Good morning. How we doing?
We're doing great, brother. You a Led Zeppelin fan?
Did Zeppelin rules?
That is the right answer, my friend. So it's time to play Yes or BS for some Jason Bonham Led Zeppelin Experience tickets. Let's see what we can do, Patrick. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, Patrick, we got 5 of them here for you. I'll just give you a statement concerning Led Zeppelin or something Zeppelin related. Might not all be about the band specifically, but here we go. We'll give you a statement, and you tell us, yeah, it's true, or a bunch of malarkey, BS. First one, when all four members, Page, Plant, Jones, and Bonham, first played together, they went by the name the New Yardbirds. Yes or BS?
BS.
No, they did. Their very first show took place after just 15 hours of practicing together. They didn't even have a name. The set list, You Shook Me, Dazed and Confused. They had Train Kept a Rolling on there, some covers. But that first show, they went by the name the New Yardbirds. We'll circle back to that, I think, for the next contestant.
Page had been in the Yardbirds, and there were some gigs that they had booked, and the band broke up, and so he had to fulfill the obligation, and he recognized, hey, this new band, it was a good way to come in Brubaker style, under the radar. So, there you go. All right, Patrick, let's get back on the horse.
There we go. You got four more. Because of their crazy antics while touring, Led Zeppelin was never inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
BS.
Yeah, BS. They were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1995. Speaking of touring antics, by Steven Tyler and Joe Perry were the two guys that got there and inducted them. So, all right, you're on the board. 1 for 2. Jimmy Page paid for the recording of their first album out of his own pocket. Yes or BS?
Yes.
Yeah, he wanted artistic control. Recording and mixing lasted 30 hours, cost him about $4,300. The debut album ended up making about $4.5 million. Not a bad return on your investment.
Yeah, and over the years now, worldwide, how many tens of millions of copies have sold? That was a good turn. That was a good turn for Page.
And he got that artistic control for $4,300. All right, Patrick, 2 for 3. Here we go. Drummer for The Who, Keith Moon, credited with suggesting the name Led Zeppelin to Jimmy Page, commenting that their music would go down like a lead balloon. But the band purposefully misspelled lead. L-E-D instead of L-E-A-D. Jimmy Page said those damn Americans will think it's Lead Zeppelin. Yes or BS?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Correct.
You are correct. Led Zeppelin. I like it. It works. All right, and one more here for you. Well, you have 4 or 3. You come storming back. I, Brian Zepp, have an official fan club who call themselves Zeppheads. Yes or BS?
I'm going to go with yes.
No, that's BS. No. That's a Led Zeppelin fan club. Also, the Leadheads. They have Zeppheads and Leadheads. A little fun fact, in 2004, however, Patrick, I was called out on Facebook by a Zepphead who accused me of changing my name to exploit Led Zeppelin because I worked for a classic rock station. I wish I was that clever. I'm not. Just got it from dear old mom and dad. But, hey, 3 for 5. That's a solid score right there for you, Patrick. We'll hang tight. See if you win those Jason Bonham tickets.
It holds up.
Very well done. Of course, it's so funny to think if Zepp were going to change his name to try to curry favor, he would have, of course, gone with Brian Whitesnake.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah. Candace, who's caller number 2?
All right. Jacob from Richfield.
Jacob, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you a Zeppelin fan?
Huge Zeppelin fan.
Excellent. Well, you're going to love the show.
Zeppelin 2 and House of the Holy probably defined high school for me.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, then.
You had a good time in high school.
Yeah, you did.
I did have a good time in high school.
Well, you're going to enjoy the show if you make it a week from tonight. Good luck to you, sir. Let's see how you do here.
All right, here we go, Jacob. Yes or BS? Led Zeppelin had their own record label called Seven Swans a Swimming.
BS.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Seven Swans a Swimming. Swan Song. In 1974, the band established Swan Song Records to have more artistic control over their music and to promote emerging artists. I believe Bad Company might have been the first band they signed.
I believe that's true.
All right, you're on the board. That's 1 for 1. Jacob, Led Zeppelin's concert attendance record remains unbroken. Yes or BS?
Yes.
Yeah, in 1975, Led Zeppelin performed a concert in Michigan, the Silver Dome, drew an astounding crowd of over 76,000 people, set a record for the highest attending single-act concert. That still stands today. Wow. All right, 2 for 2, man. You got this.
No opening band selling out the Silver Dome. Not a bad night, guys.
Not a bad night at all. All right, next one, yes or BS. John Bonham was actually Jimmy Page's second choice for drummer. He had offered it to Ringo Starr after Ringo had briefly quit the Beatles. Yes or BS?
Yes.
No BS on that one. Bonham was Page's second choice for drummer, their first being B.J. Wilson from Procol Harum. But Ringo was never part of the conversation. Could you imagine?
I knew he was second in line like Terry Reid, but I couldn't remember.
I know. You were doing too well. I had to trick you up there. All right, that's all right. I think you're 2 for 3 is where we're at here, Jacob.
Yep. 2 for 3.
All right, next one. The Zeppelin airships. Yeah, we're talking about the dirigibles here. Did I say that right? Dirigibles?
Dirigibles.
Well, the Zeppelin. So we're just talking about, like the Hindenburg. The Zeppelin airships were often made of sheets of so-called gold beater's skin, which is made from the intestine of cows. Yes or BS?
Gosh, I don't know. BS.
Yeah, no, it's true. You're right. That was like the Brian Zepp fan club one. I had to throw that one in there. A typical Zeppelin rigid airship needed about 200,000 sheets of cow guts.
Jeez.
All right, well, get this one here.
All right, so 2 for 4. This is you got to get this one to tie to go to a tiebreaker.
Which just reminds me,
I got it.
How much I miss Tony. You got the tiebreaker.
I got
Thank you. All right, here we go. While on tour in the 1970s, Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin agreed to take care of each other's gardens.
BS.
No, that is BS. But if it would have been true, Jacob, that would mean Roger waters Robert's plants.
Wow.
No rim shot there? Nothing on that.
But we wanted it to be true.
I'm glad you did not lose on that one, because while I was giggling when I wrote that one up, I thought someone's going to hate my guts if they lose on that one. But you didn't lose. You tied. We have Patrick and Jacob and a tiebreaker, Mr. Gorman.
All right, gentlemen. So we've got a tiebreaker. According to the Recording Industry Association of America, the top-selling Led Zeppelin album in the United States all time is Led Zeppelin 4. It has sold many millions of copies, and I'm going to ask you both how many million Led Zeppelin 4s have been sold in America. Patrick, please answer first.
333 million. 333.
333 million. All right, Jacob, what's your answer?
200 million.
Okay. Just for context, Thriller is the biggest selling album worldwide ever, and it's at 70 million. So you both went way over.
Way over.
For the US, Led Zeppelin 4 is at 24 times platinum, 24 million copies sold. Jacob, you are somehow closer with 200 million, and you have won the tickets, my friend. Patrick,
threw me off with that 300 million. I didn't know what to do with it.
I understand. These things happen. Guys, great effort on both your parts. Jacob, enjoy the show. Patrick, thank you for calling in and playing, sir. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You got it. It's funny. You can go to the RIAA website, and then there's a tab on that website just says Gold and Platinum, and you enter in whatever artist you want, and then you see the albums they've sold in America and how many times they've registered platinum. And when you go to the Led Zeppelin one, I mean, it's hilarious. It's like Led Zeppelin 4, 24. Led Zeppelin 3, 19. Led Zeppelin 2, like every one of them has sold so many millions of copies just in America alone, not to mention the rest of the world. Pretty crazy to think about just how impactful that band and that music especially continues to be.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I think it was just a couple of weeks ago you mentioned like 6 of their albums were on the top 100 at the same time.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, that'll happen. When
CDs hit, there was an old story from The Biz. Peter Grant, the legendary manager of Led Zeppelin, after John Bonham's death, when the band decided to pull the plug and they weren't going to continue, he went to Atlantic Records and said, okay, so the band's done. There's not going to be any more touring. The catalog isn't going to continue to sell huge numbers. Why don't you make me an offer and buy the catalog back so I can give the lads one final payday? And Atlantic Records said, sure. And I think the number was, like $10 million. Which in 1981 or 2 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just to say, here's a blank check, or here's $10 million, and then you don't have to chase royalties anymore. And the guys in the band were thrilled with that. That's $2.5 million each. And then something called the CD came out.
Yeah. And
all 8 studio albums went platinum in the first 8 years of compact discs in America alone. They were selling like 60 million copies a year for close to a decade without getting the back end, apparently. That's when all of a sudden Page went, okay, hold on. let's do some box sets. Let's do some remastering. Let's get back under control. And Atlantic Records, to their credit, made it right, and all was well again. But boy, that music. But it makes sense because right after Bonham's death, Led Zeppelin was a huge band, but after years of the punk and the new wave thing, threatening their reign as the world's greatest band, biggest band, nobody in 1982 would have bet the farm that Led Zeppelin would continue to capture every subsequent generation of rock fan.
Right.
There's no reason to think that was possible.
I mean, they really brought in the CD age. I recall it very well because I had just started working in classic rock radio. I was sitting in the studio there in Aberdeen, South Dakota, out there in the middle of the cow pasture, when they brought in a CD player. Mm-hmm. And we had CDs. There was Def Leppard. I think we had Led Zeppelin 4 was one of them. But every once in a while, we got to play one from a CD. It was all the rage. But every time a Led Zeppelin CD was released, it was an event.
Oh, yeah.
It was a big thing. They sent us a box of them. We gave them away. People went crazy, and it shot and started selling CDs. So not only did they sell a lot of CDs for themselves, but they really launched the CD into the stratosphere for that generation that was, grew up on vinyl, then went to 8-track, then went to cassette. Do I have one more format left in me? Oh, yeah, I do, for Led Zeppelin, because what band did you want to hear more? Led Zeppelin 2 on CD? Are you kidding me? I mean, because of the sound quality and everything, we're going gaga over at the time. Now we're going back to analog and vinyl and going gaga on re-releases and remastering. Yep. But at the time, to get Led Zeppelin 2, I remember my hand was shaking. I was like, this is going to sound so good, man. Crank it to 11.
I remember,
and it did, of course.
I grew up and there was Led Zeppelin in the house and there's Led Zeppelin on the radio, and you couldn't get away from it. So I didn't listen to the albums one by one in order till I was probably in college. I never felt the need to. And I remember the first time I put on Led Zeppelin 2, I was probably 18. And at some point I went, wait, all of these are on the same record? I was like, wait a minute.
It's like the Beatles, really.
I've heard every one of these songs 1,000 times. What on earth is happening? And at a time when I was one of those new wave obsessed post-punk kids, I was like, there's still plenty of room in my life for Led Zeppelin. Here's a new study I want to get your thought on, Zepp. Tracked people over 8 years. And apparently what they came up with was people who exercise in the evening, which, by the way, I've started doing that. I'm a late afternoon, early evening, back on the regimen now.
Okay.
People who exercise in the evening have a much lower risk of death from any cause compared to people who don't exercise, as well as people who exercise earlier in the day.
61%.
Nice.
I mean, that's a huge number when you talk about stuff. I thought you were going to say something like 10% and be like, all right, because I'm an afternoon, evening kind of guy, if you can get away with it. Because these studies are always early morning. If you get up and exercise at 3 o'clock in the morning, you've got to, and you're like, phooey, you lost me at 3 o'clock or whatever. Early morning is where you lost me. But afternoon, evening, a little happy hour workout instead of happy hour.
Yeah, 61% lower risk of death. And they're saying it's better to exercise any time than not to exercise, of course.
Yeah.
But apparently, working at night is better. And they're saying, well, the data suggests our bodies are primed to handle blood sugar better later in the day.
Okay. Yeah.
Evening hour might also lower blood pressure through the night and into the next morning. But I have my own theory on this, and it's pretty simple.
Is?
Well, you're not out at a bar trying to get laid. You're exercising, and then you're turning in for the night. You're just, by that very notion alone, you're getting to bed earlier. You're not out chasing skirt. You're not driving fast. You're not drinking. You're not getting you're just removing yourself from a huge part of the how could this possibly go wrong pool.
Yeah, you nailed it. They didn't probably mention any of that in the study, but Steve Gorman, you nailed it. As soon as I said happy hour workout, I thought to myself, well, if I worked out instead of going to happy hour and drank all that beer or that liquor. I have a friend, just the other day we were texting. I'm going to catch up with him here in a little bit, and he said, careful, you won't recognize me. I've lost 30 pounds. And he's not a very big guy. And I said, wow, 30 pounds. How'd you manage that? Ozempic? Do you have Ozempic butt? And he said, no, I just quit drinking. Just went on the wagon for 3 months, and bing, bang, boom. And I mean, he didn't even talk about working out. Now, imagine if you take away the happy hour, the evening thing. I thought it might be because people are actually following through. Because no one really wants to get up and work out in the morning. We all know people that occasionally do that. There's always that, that oddball, that unicorn person that, I get up and then I write down my life goals, and then I, call my mom, and then I'm off to work. But 99% of us are not like that. So we have a better shot at working out in the evening.
Yeah, I'm just basing my theory, by the way, on, of course, Joe Kenda, the guy, the TV show, the homicide detective guy, who had that great show. He's a Colorado Springs murder detective, and he would just talk about all of his cases.
Yeah,
and he always said, people say, how can I be safe in a country full of murder? And he always said two things. He goes, well, be home by 11 p.m. and don't involve yourself in the drug trade, and you will eliminate 99% of the chances that you will have to be murdered. He's
wise words.
Just be home early, get in early, because nothing good happens after midnight, and just don't get involved with drugs. You're going to be fine. And it was
all right, Mom, whatever.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, but what if I do want to get involved with drugs and stay on plane and be stupid?
The trick is to age into it. You'll get there eventually, but you just got to survive those years where that doesn't make any sense to you whatsoever. All right, I'm going to keep us on the clock here. We're going to scoot along because Jason Bonham will be joining us here at the top of the hour to talk about Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening. That's happening 1 week from this evening at the Uptown Theater. Please hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Led Zeppelin, Over the Hills and Far Away. I always think that is one of the handful of ultimate Zeppelin songs, by which I mean you get the whole package in one song. The light, the dark, the heavy, the soft. Every element that band incorporated, all in a nice, tidy 4-minute package. That's kind of magical. That's a piece of work from, that is, of course, from the Houses of the Holy album. In a few minutes, Jason Bonham's going to call in. He's playing here in Minneapolis a week from tonight with the Jason Bonham Led Zeppelin evening show, which is great. I saw Jason Bonham, the last time I saw him play was at the Led Zeppelin 2007 O2 Arena gig in London, the big Celebration Day concert, the final Led Zeppelin concert that apparently will ever be. And it was a huge event. They had 20,000 tickets available and 20 million people logged into a website to apply for tickets and crashed it. It was one of the biggest events in rock music of this century, easily. And it was a pretty momentous night. And boy, I tell you what, it was an incredible vibe in the building, in large part because everybody who was there just loved this band so much. But there was a palpable sense of, come on, Jason. Come on, Jason. Come on, dude. Deliver, because as the drummer sitting in the Led Zeppelin chair, not only that, sitting in his dad's chair, the pressure and the emotion that must have been going through this guy. I mean, it's still, I think back to it and I think, God, how did he manage to get through it?
Yeah.
And how did he do such a great job? Pretty incredible night. And I'm sure we'll discuss that here in a couple minutes when he calls us.
Yeah, I mean, exciting. I've not seen Jason Bonham play, and there have been a couple of opportunities, or in other words, I've been in the vicinity. But yeah, I mean, this show sounds fantastic, and what a great venue. Uptown Theater. Also, haven't been to the Uptown Theater since they were showing the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, right. That's what I heard. It's just, amazing. So I'm sure the acoustics are fantastic, and it's almost intimate. I mean, it's just not a very big place, so I think the seating really lends itself to be that kind of show. It's going to be fantastic.
It is going to be fantastic. He's been doing this thing for a while. If you're wondering why it's called Led Zeppelin Evening, it was originally, for years, he toured as Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Experience, and then he changed the title. The band themselves, the Led Zeppelin camp, has a new project that they're working on, apparently, where they're going to use the word Led Zeppelin Experience. And they go, hey, can you call it something else? And he was like, sure. No problem. Apparently, there's some live recordings in the archive they're going to be putting out there in some form or fashion here pretty soon. So that's pretty exciting stuff. Led Zeppelin's one of those bands, at this stage, whatever the Mount Rushmore is, Beatles, Zeppelin, and then fill in the next two. Is it Stones? Is it Pink Floyd? Is it The Who? Is it U2, a second generation all-time iconic band? Whatever it is, no one's Mount Rushmore doesn't include Led Zeppelin. And the one thing I think that they share with the Beatles, even more than the Stones, even more than any of those other bands, is just this childlike awe when people discover their music. I mean, for like my kids, every kid I know loves the Beatles. You put those records on, and not just Yellow Submarine, even later era stuff, Hey Jude, and even the weirder stuff, Strawberry Fields Forever. My kids just could never get enough of that music. Led Zeppelin's the same way. There's a moment in everybody's life when suddenly they go, I don't even understand why, but this is moving me at a different pace than other music. And there's just something so eternal, I think, in those recordings. And that's something that Jason's able to tap into night after night with a great band. And obviously, as the man sitting in the chair, the son of the man, he's got I would say no one better suited but within a mile to do just that. And now Jason's actually on the horn right now. Jason Bonham on the KQ Morning Show. Good morning, brother.
Good morning, my fellow wood-grabbing, skin-bashing. Oh no!
Careful!
And also
careful!
A fellow drummer.
Careful!
A fellow drummer.
Yeah.
And a fellow drummer. And doing another job that I would like to do as well is be able to just ramble on and quick name drop. Ramble on and talk and take calls and play music. Yeah, what a great life.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Brother, you're going to be here a week from tonight in Minneapolis. This show, you're playing music that means so much to the audience, but of course it can't possibly mean as much to anybody as it does to you. How tough is it to figure out what to play? It's not like there's any Zeppelin songs that people don't want to hear, and you can't go play for 7 hours.
Yeah, that is true. That was one of the things I was going to ask you. When you played with Jimmy,
mm-hmm.
how much of it was you guys going, "Oh, can we do this? Can we do that?" Or was it, Jimmy, I want to do this, I want to do that?
It was a good mix. I specifically asked about Over the Hills, which we just played a minute ago, and he just shot that down immediately. And it was always a drag, because that to me is one of the, I just said, it's an ultimate Zepp song. It has all of the elements that they ever had all in one song. And he wasn't interested. But for the most part, it was really easy to figure out what we all wanted to play.
I can imagine. It is the hardest. For me, it's the hardest thing once you get into a groove of how songs go down and you think of them like, this is a great opening song.
Right.
Of course, we used to flick back between the 73, which was always rock and roll, into Celebration Day, from the movie, how we remember it in a Song of Man's Time.
Yeah.
And then I would look at the 77 show, and, I was always trying to reflect of what they opened with, the song remains the same, which was a short bit into the Rover, into Sit Again. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, of course.
When they used to do that flip-flack. So then I suddenly went, you know what? So, I'll go back to the O2. So, and if Jimmy says I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I believe it was me that says, hey, what should we start with? Hey, why don't we start with where it all began? Good Times, Bad Times. First song, first album,
yeah.
First thing anybody ever heard of Led Zeppelin. So that's why we started Good Times, Bad Times then. But for us, it's been Immigrant Song. I just love that 72, How the West Was Won intro.
I remember, the first time I put that record on, that How the West Was Won, that was... that moved ahead of Song Remains the Same for me. I listened to that thing start to finish once in my car. I wouldn't get out of the car. 3 hours I sat there just in absolute disbelief. That was apex Zeppelin right there, man.
Oh, the solo, the Moby Dick in that is
incredible.
It's like, that's it. I'm not playing it anymore. The only thing that got me about it was at the beginning was the speed of Heartbreaker was a little quick for me,
sure.
And so was What Is and What Should Never Be.
Yeah.
But it always depended on what was backstage, I guess.
Isn't it funny, too, to think back? Exactly. Isn't it funny to think back, too? Oh, so you can go, Dad was rushing that one. He was still in his early 20s. He was a kid. I give anybody who's 23, 24 years old a whole lot of that's okay. You're pushing a little on Heartbreaker. Yeah, who wouldn't be? I get it. Jason Bonham's with us on the KQ Morning Show right now. Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening is in town at the Uptown a week from tonight. You referenced the O2 show. I was just talking about that myself. And opening with Good Times, Bad Times. Now, I was there. My wife and I came. And before the gig, Jason, and I think I told you this one time, I'm standing in the concourse with Chad Smith and Dave Grohl, and there's three of us, three drummers, three Zeppelin fanatics, and we were excited, but very lovingly nervous for you. Not because we weren't worried about that you could do the job, but we're sitting there, and like we're sons and we're fathers, and we couldn't escape that either. And even as I say that, I get goosebumps. What do you even remember the 10 minutes leading up to that gig, or were you just already in sort of a blackout mental focus zone?
No, I remember it. The greatest thing about, for me, and I was sober, so it was one of those shows that I remember in slow motion, where most of those times when I played, I don't remember so much about them. That was like slow motion. 10 minutes before we went on, Ross Halpin, the famous photographer, called us into the hallway to do a photograph. So we have these hallway shots that were being done. And I remember John Paul Jones, the strangest thing was he goes, finally, I'm not the shortest guy in Led Zeppelin. And I took offense at that. I was like, hey, I'm wearing my flats and you have 2-inch heels on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, come on. You're only, you're not that much taller than me. But I think, Brian, what made me smile was the fact that, Ross can be one of those people that goes, come on, cheer up, guys. It's not like you've been on stage every day with each other for most of your life. Yeah. This is the first time and probably the last time you're going to do it in another 50 years. So we smiled. And somebody said, the whole show, that's not Led Zeppelin. There's no smiling in Led Zeppelin. There's no smiling in baseball.
Yeah,
right. Are you crying? So we just had such a fun thing. But, the internet wasn't so great. I remember reading comments before while I was doing rehearsals, and that was the worst thing you could do.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I know what you mean. I'm a father, myself. My mom had the same reaction. She was like, I want to be happy for him, but at the same time, it's like, you're not going to beat my husband. You know that, right? It's like, what the hell? And I always was like that too. If anyone says, man, you did it better than, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Well,
no, I did not do anything better.
The one thing about every drummer is drummers know more than anybody how great your dad was. It's like, I was complimented. People go, oh man, you really did Bonzo. And I was like, no, I didn't. Trust me. I just made you think I did. The difference is miles and miles. Jason Bonham's with us on the KQ Morning Show. Jason, this show, Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening, one of the things that's so great about it, it's not just get up, play a show, and leave. You share stories. You have photos, home movies of you and your dad. And I think what's really amazing about it is you're putting John Bonham front and center, and you're putting Bonzo on the back burner, which is something most people don't understand the difference of. There's the mystique and the myth, but then there's just the guy who was dad, and you show people a little bit of insight into what that was all about.
Yeah, there's so much bravado, and the books that get written, they always seem to pick on the bombastic Bonzo, and not really John Bonham, who was the father. They're also an amazing musician.
Yep.
We have to give him credit. He didn't play any other instrument than drums, but could write songs because he had understood what he was trying to say. And when he would sing a riff to Jimmy, Jimmy would go like this, and he'd go, yeah, that's the riff. Mm-hmm. But you've got to have people around you that will listen to you. When you're singing, if you can't play them a riff on guitar, you're going to sing it to them.
Yeah.
So he was very fortunate to have such great people. But yeah, I just like to share the simple side of him, the fun side of him. He was he was tough at home. He was all about doing good at school for me. And, if I gave him any, we call what's the term in America? If you talk back, if you talk back to your parents, there was nothing about being, I'm going to get child services around to get you taken away, Dad. If he cupped his hand and smacked you around the face, you didn't say another word.
Yeah. Hey, man, tough luck. He grew up. There's a special thing. I mean, it's long overstated, but I don't think it really. Yeah. Long stated can't be overstated. Those post-war Brits, man, that your dad's generation, they did not have a easy step along the way, did they? Coming up as kids.
No, I mean, from their parents, my dad was, it was the belt, when he did something wrong. My school was the cane. If you did something wrong, you were caned.
Yeah.
Which is like, if nobody knows what that is, it hurts. It's like it's a bit. It's a bit like the Brits is. I say it's a little bit S&M if you ask me. It's a little weird when you look back. You've come on. This is. But nobody talked back in the end. We were always afraid of doing something. But I look back in fond memories. As I said, Dad was such an amazing. But he's drumming. So no matter what I do in life, I remember as a young kid playing drums in bands. And I was never really going to get anywhere until I accepted the fact that, hey, listen, just love the fact that your dad was who he is. It's not your fault that he was like one of the greatest drummers of all time. So get over yourself and enjoy it. Enjoy playing.
Yeah, it sounds easy, but that's not an easy thing because, like you said, you're the one person who's had to walk in your shoes, following in his footsteps. There's only one. There's one son who's also a drummer, and to that, my friend, you've done a hell of a job. Like my dad was in the bowling industry. Like nobody said, "Oh, your dad was a great drummer." I mean, it's incomprehensible, honestly, to me, just pursuing that.
Yeah, but when you go bowling, I bet you suck, right?
Yeah. No, I can't keep up with that guy. Man, what are you kidding?
Yeah, it's actually, let me tell you about parents. So my son will be opening up the show, Jagger Henry, and he plays a very different genre of music, and it was something that he did it a couple of times. He said, "Come on, Dad, let me come and play." And I'm thinking, it's not going to work. These people are here it's more of the older crowd. Let me just say, I mean, there's a lot of younger people that come, which has been amazing because they've got the generations that love Zeppelin. So my son, who plays quite a different genre of music, he says, "What, are you scared?" And I remember being that cocky kid. So I went, "Yeah, you come along. And I'm like, "Please hate him." I'm like, "Please, somebody give him a hard time."
That's great.
And they don't. He, for some reason, I don't know how he does it. He does great. So for me, I get a chance to go on the road and have my boy play. I want him to get his live, thing together. So the only way you get better is to keep playing in a live situation. So while I could help him, something I would have loved to have gone on the road with my dad and just played in the band and the Zeppelin and whatever. So it's going to be fun. We had a good comedy relationship between us. He's 27. He's 6'4", covered in tattoos. But he did everything I asked of him at school, from getting, high grades, doing, got a scholarship into college, got his degree. And then he said, "Now can I go and be a singer in a band?" I'm like, "You're going to be a singer?"
Oh, boy.
I said, "What about drumming?" He went, No, I've seen the pressure you're under. Forget that.
Smart kid. Jason Bonham's on the horn with us on the KQ Morning Show. The Jason Bonham Led Zeppelin evening, a week from tonight at the Uptown Theater here in town. Speaking of children, I saw your first band, Bonham, open for the Cult in probably '89 in Atlanta.
Yep.
Wow. Now, look, you're hardly the average kid, but you were a kid, and Atlantic Records just said, "Here you go. What do you want?" I mean, looking back, that must have been a completely insane time. I think you were still a teenager when you were out touring with your own band.
Actually, with Bonham, I was just, because Bonham came about right after if that was for the Colts, it would be 89. So that came about. I was 23.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
23. Yeah. So I first toured with Jimmy when I was opening up for Jimmy in '86. So we go back, 3 years prior to that, we're on tour with Jimmy Page.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 17, I went on the road with Queen. My first band, we were on Atlantic. We went on tour with Queen, AC/DC, Ted Nugent, Crocus, Def Leppard. I'm just about to go open for Def Leppard again all these years later. And I was like, always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Hey, man, well, you were supposed to be like a dirt bike champion, weren't you? You were racing motorcycles before that, weren't you?
Oh, very much so. And to this day, motocross has such, and supercross has such a, part of my life and being. I mean, I literally, last week, just to go and see these two new friends of mine that are like big in the sport, the Lawrence brothers from Australia. I went to their compound up in northern Florida. I live in Florida. I drove for 3 hours, 48 minutes, got up at 5:30 in the morning to go and watch them train. That's how much of a fan I am, So
what's your favorite?
It's still a huge, huge, huge part of my life.
What's your favorite ride? I grew up on Kawasaki, did a little for a Kawasaki team, and then some Yamahas. What do you like to get out on?
Well, I was a Team Green rider from age. They came up to my dad. So here's a funny story. So they come up to my dad, and they go, "Hey, your son's really good. We'd like to sponsor him." And he goes, "What does that mean?" He goes, "We want to give you free bikes." He goes, "I can afford anything. Don't worry about it. I'm good." And they went, No, you don't understand. No, he's really going to be wanting you to be on a team. So my dad actually got involved with Team Green, and then his passion was, what about the guy who our guy beat, but the other guy almost beat him with a piece of crap bike. So he said, why don't we help some of the underprivileged kids as well?
Outstanding.
So that was his part of Team Green. But the best motocross story ever is the first race we ever turned up at. Imagine this. We see a flyer. It says race starts at 10 a.m. So Dad goes, "Come on, man, we're going to go racing, son." I'm like, "Yeah, first race ever." I'm wearing a hockey jersey with the Blackhawks. Which my dad got for me. Mm-hmm. I'm 9 years old. We hitch up the trailer to the Rolls Royce, and I have this little 50cc bike, and we're towing it, and we pull up, and everyone, it's like that we have something written on us that we,
of course,
it was. I can't even say it, like get cancelled. We pulled up, and just the steering, like we'd missed practice, we'd missed everything. But the fact that there's this guy with long hair and a Rolls Royce pulls up with a trailer on the back. Still to this day, that was one of the best experiences ever.
Yeah, awesome. little different track for sure. Jason Bonham, Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening at the Uptown a week from tonight. Hey man, it is awesome to chat with you. I can't wait for the show. It's not going to be riding motorcycles, but we'll be manhandling that drum kit, playing some great music a week from tonight. Looking forward to seeing you, brother. Thanks for calling in.
Listen, I just want to say you're playing. To me, I still play it this day before I go on stage to get in the pocket, and that's gone. I am still loving that song so much. It gives me inspiration to go and say, it ain't all about chops. You've got to suck it back and get in that deep, deep pocket.
Well, that's really nice of you to say, man. That means the world to me. Thanks. I can't wait to see you next week, brother.
Hey, take care of yourself. Thank you very much for having me.
You got it. Jason Bonham right there. Anybody listening can tell what a good dude. And that's the vibe of this performance. If you go see the Led Zeppelin evening, it's just all heart, all feel, a lot of love, and I'm looking forward to the show.
Yeah. Have you ever met him before?
Once or twice.
Yeah. That was a fun chat. That was fantastic. I was just sitting back here thinking, oh, man, maybe I should turn on my microphone and respond every once in a while. But no one wanted to hear that. But, I mean, yeah, what a lean in. And then to find out he's a motocross kid.
Oh, yeah, he was big time. He was big time.
Yeah, outstanding. Love to get out on a 2-tracker with him somewhere. All right, we got to move along. I don't even know what the hell we're doing. Oh, yeah, share your crazy pet stories with the KQ Morning Show. Are we just going to replay that interview in the next segment?
Whatever it takes.
You might hear that one again even this week. Share your crazy pet stories with us here on the KQ Morning Show. We have something up on the KQ Facebook page. We'll share a few of those. We're talking about those times when a pet turned your life upside down. Steve will reintroduce us to a story about a family that gave their little precious whatever he wanted. In this case, it was a pet octopus. What could possibly go wrong? We'll tell you all about it. The talk and text line, you want to chime in. We'd love to hear from you. 651-989-ROCK. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, April the 16th. Elton John's Rocket Man right there. I don't know if you saw what happened to the Piano Man the other night. Let's go back in time. Let's go back to, 1968? The Oakland Raiders playing the Jets, a very famous football game. It's known as the Heidi game. Do you know why it's called the Heidi game? Because in this very important football game, the Oakland Raiders were playing in New York City in a very exciting finish. Oakland scored 2 touchdowns in the final minute to win the game. But NBC didn't show that because they didn't want them to miss the beginning of the film Heidi, which was scheduled to start right on time at 7 p.m. Eastern. And so millions of TV viewers missed the Raiders' epic comeback, and it was a legendary gaffe in TV sports history, the Heidi game. Imagine that. You're watching your team, and all of a sudden the movie Heidi starts, and then you hear on the radio, the Raiders scored 2 touchdowns in the final minute to win the game. And people lost their minds. Well, check this out. A couple nights ago, CBS was airing Billy Joel's 100th Madison Square Garden show. Yes, that's right. His 100th night at Madison Square Garden. It was live at Madison Square Garden. And during his final song, The Piano Man, CBS cut to go to local news, Eastern and Central time zones. Sorry, you want to see the end of this song? Too bad. They went to local news. Fans all across America went out of their mind, and then CBS issued an apology and said, we're going to re-air the entire concert this Friday night. Sorry.
Oh, I love it. Well, I mean, it's not like missing the ending of an exciting football game. We kind of know how Piano Man plays out, right? I mean, it's on YouTube. There's about 750 versions of him singing Piano Man live.
Yeah, but if you sat through the first 2 hours of the show at home watching your guy Bill deliver the goods, you're going to be a little pissed off. We mentioned earlier in the show a man in Oklahoma, a family in Oklahoma. This couple bought their 9-year-old son, the pet he'd always wanted, a pet octopus. The octopus's name was Terrence because they thought Terrence, the octopus, was male. Terrence was female, and Terrence now has 50 little baby octopi in the pool, in the tank with her. 51 octopi. That's a bit of a jump from one. Anyway, long story short, the best intentions where our pets are concerned can blow up in our face. We've heard a lot of great calls today, some great posts on the KQ Facebook page, and right now on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. We have a caller. Candace, who's on the horn?
Kathy from Forest Lake.
Hey, Kathy, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're hanging in there. Darling, what do you got for us?
First of all, I want to say that I saw Jason Bonham and Peter Frampton a couple years ago, and it was so awesome.
Great. Are you going to the show next week?
I am not.
Okay.
I would like to, but I'm not.
Steve was trying to offer you free tickets, but that's all right. We can move on. You said you had a story.
I know.
No,
I'm holding
teasing.
off on that.
I'm just teasing.
Anyways, no, I was outside Saturday night. I was outside playing all with my dogs, and I came inside, and I was going to get ready to watch a movie, and Maisie came in, and I thought she had a ball in her mouth, you know. So I'm like, okay, come here, you know, drop. Oh, my God. She dropped a bunny out of her mouth. She dropped
That's
it
a gift.
in my living room.
Yeah. Because she loves you so much.
Freaked. I ran into my bedroom, locked my other dog in there, got Maisie out of there. I had to call a neighbor to come get the bunny. I felt so bad.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Just trying to impress you, and just a little off kilter with that particular toy she brought home. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the call, and thank you for the story. I hope everybody's okay now. That can be fairly traumatizing in the moment.
Yeah.
I know that. The family dog we had growing up as a kid, we had a Springer Spaniel named Rusty, and he was an English Springer Spaniel, very large for the breed. He was like pushing 60 pounds and very tall. He was like a freak, giant dog. And it was funny because we went to the place and there was a litter, and we were like, get that really big one. And he was a great dog. We got a second Springer Spaniel years later, a female named Misty, and she was more the normal size Springer, like a little 35, topping out maybe at 40 pounds. And Misty walked into the house one day, and similarly, she walked right into the living room. We're all gathered around watching TV, and she just throws up like, blah, right onto the floor, right in the middle of the room, a completely intact bullfrog.
Yes.
We were like,
awesome.
Oh, no.
Did it hop away?
No, it didn't. It looked like it could have. It had just apparently, it had met its demise. But there was just the nastiest nougat filling, if you will, surrounding it. Nasty. Just a fully shaped frog right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
looks so good. Like a treat, really, but not. No.
And as the youngest kid in the room, I, of course, stare in horror while everyone else gets up and runs away, leaving, of course, the only person dumb enough to be in the room when my parents discover, why didn't you clean this up already? And I'm like, I should have run away. I should have run away.
Always run away. That's the thing. Speaking of running away or around, Karen here on the KQ Facebook post, I just shampooed my carpets. I had a wrought iron plant stand I'd put back in its place. Next thing I know, my dog's collar somehow got caught on the plant stand. He went nuts, dragging it all over the carpet, dented the walls, potting soil everywhere before I could stop him. My poor shepherd was so scared of the plant stand that wouldn't let him go. Luckily, I hadn't returned the shampooer yet.
Oh, crap.
Back to work for Karen with the dog.
Yeah, that's not good. We had a series of dogs as a kid. There was the old standby Smokey, but I was probably 4 when Smokey died. I don't really remember. And then we replaced Smokey with a dog named Cubby, and then Cubby attacked me and tried to just kill me one day by dragging me down the front yard by the cuff of my jeans. I was screaming, and this dog was literally pulling me out into the middle of the road. The dog wanted me to be hit by a car. And so we were like, the family.
I know how to get off this leash.
Yeah, and the dog was chewing everything, literally chewed a leg off of a dining room chair. Like, the dog was crazy. Got rid of Cubby. Well, my parents said, we're going to take her to a farm. I don't really want to know what that meant. And then we replaced Cubby with a dog named Cubby 2. Cubby 2.
Yeah,
Cubby
we
2.
had a babe and a babe too.
Okay, it happens. Cubby 2 hung in there for a little while, and then Cubby 2 decided that my friend Jimmy's nose was probably going to taste good, and she tried to bite it right off his face.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bang. That was a rough one. And then we settled up and got a Springer Spaniel, and then all was good. It was all good after that. But yeah, there was a couple of moments there along the way where, my 2 times in the space of a year or 2, my mom's like, well, we're going to take Cubby to the farm. And I just thought, this must be one hell of a farm. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and text line. If you want to share a story with us, feel free to pipe up. Give us a shout. We'd love to hear them. On the Facebook page, Jeanette wrote, took in my dog's son, Cookie, $350 per month for special food, arthritis shots, and allergy pills. And then Cookie once had diarrhea. No one was home. She cleaned it up the best she could, ate it, and then barfed it up.
No.
Cookie destroyed 12 remote controls over 12 months. It took that
Cookie.
long, and then it took that long to train myself to lock them away. That's hilarious. 4, a stuffed duck toy disappeared. 4 weeks later, I caught Cookie barfing it up. She'd been swallowing it and barfing it back up for 4 weeks.
Well, it was, her two favorite things, a duck, and it had stuffing in it. Dogs can't resist either, really.
Nope. And then Cookie's final note, she likes to bring dead rodents through the dog door. Even with all that, I still love her. That's a good-looking doggy.
Right,
Cookie's full of love. Candace, who's on the horn?
Jack
full of remote controls.
Jack from Woodbury.
Jack, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're great, brother. What do you got for us?
Okay, so I've got 3 dogs, but I've got a little dog that's 5 pounds, little chihuahua, little blue chihuahua named Lenny. And my wife starts screaming in the bedroom, going, "There's something wrong with Lenny. There's something wrong with Lenny."
Uh-oh.
I go over and look at him, and normally a hyperactive chihuahua, and he's just laying there with his eyes bulging and his tongue out. And it's not looking real good, so I pick him up and take him into the bathroom. He tips his head back, just stares at me. His eyes are starting to roll around. Poops in my arm, poops all over the floor. Is just laying there limp, thinking, okay, what the heck? Rush him to the animal clinic, for overnight.
Yep.
Get there, check him in. They do the tests. We wait. My wife's crying. She's worried about Lenny. Finally, the vet comes out and says, well, he's got toxic levels of marijuana.
Uh-oh.
And I said, no kidding. And I said, yeah, but we don't judge. We don't judge. A lot of people try and get their dogs high. And I'm in my 60s, and I looked at him and I said, it's like I didn't get my dog high.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, where did this come from? Turns out my daughter's boyfriend, who is not allowed in their house anymore, dropped a bag of marijuana out of his pocket, and Lenny ate like a quarter ounce of marijuana.
That's a lot, especially for a chihuahua.
They said he was so stoned, so they had to have somebody sit up with him all night long, watching him constantly. Found him to be adorable. Had to give him all sorts of fluids. Ended up being $1,500.
Of course.
And my daughter's then boyfriend said, gee, it wasn't me. I don't smoke pot.
Yeah, right.
And that was it. So, but Lenny was, for 2 or 3 days, Lenny was really, really stoned.
Yeah, boy. I tell you what, I mean, as mad as you were, imagine his friend who was waiting for that weed, how that guy felt.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Man.
What do you mean you don't have the weed anymore? Yeah.
That would have knocked me out.
Let me tell you how I know he was lying when he said he didn't smoke pot. Only someone who's already smoked pot would leave a bag of pot behind.
Yeah.
Well,
quarter ounce.
So there you go. That's my story about Lenny the Chihuahua.
That's a good one.
Now seemingly likes pot.
All right. Rock on, Lenny. Thank you for the call, man. We appreciate it.
I have a pothead Lenny, buddy. It's not a Chihuahua.
No. Pothead Lenny. All you need is a pothead Squiggy and you're set. Candace, do we have another caller?
Ski from St. Paul.
Ski, good morning.
Hey, how you guys going? Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, brother. What do you got for us?
Hey, Batman's Dark Knight was my Doberman Pinscher. And I was a SWAT negotiator, deputy sheriff. I bought some brand new gator skin boots. They finally come in the mail. And that night I got a call out. I was going to take kids up to the dance at school, but I got a call out. So I had my nice boots on, took them off, put my work boots on, set the boots at the staircase on the floor.
Yep.
My Doberman, he's not a chewer. I left at about 8 o'clock that night, came back at 3:30 in the morning, and I look over on the floor in the dark by the ottoman, and I see a bunch of something on the floor. A sole, a buckle, and no boot. The dog ate the entire boot. And he swallowed it all.
God.
And he was due to go into the vet to get his teeth done on Monday. And this was a Friday. So I called the vet, and I says, you sure we're going to be able to put him down? He's got about I don't know how much gator skin and leather in his gut. You know, the doc laughs, and he says, well, follow him around for the weekend and watch him do his business and try to see if he's getting this out of his system.
Oh, man.
I said, okay, Doc, because all that was left, like I said, was the sole and a buckle, right? So I told my kid when he woke up the next day, I says, hey, I got a job for you. The Batman ate my boot last night, and you're going to have to follow him around out there to see if he's pooping out these chunks of gator skin and whatever not. So I was so mad that night. I made a little money going out to this call-out, but I was still $100 down on the boots by the time I had to go send some more. So I told Batman, the Doberman, and the kids, when he passed, I was going to be the only guy walking around town with a pair of Doberman skin boots. He was a beautiful dog. Beautiful dog. I mean, magazine stuff. I could show you a picture. I got Shepherd and a Rottweiler I got left here now. The Shepherd I left up in Deer River with a SWAT guy. I got sick with cancer. Thanks to the Doberman, he saved my life. He passed in my arms from a tumor, and the next day, I had a heart attack burying him, and the next day, then I had to go deal with all that stuff. They found a heart attack. They fixed me. Cancer. They took it all out of me. I'm good to go.
Wow.
And thank Batman's Dark Knight for everything, man.
Yeah. Right on. Batman's Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Ski,
that's Did you ever think about maybe taking what you had found of the boots, the sole and the buckle, throwing them back in the boot box, mailing them back, and saying, hey, these boots showed up damaged?
I got the sole and the buckle in the garage. I kept it. Steve.
Yeah.
Talk about drumsticks. I used to work security for a long time. I did for Johnny Cash way back and everything else. And one time was BTO, and he threw a drumstick out, and I caught it with my left hand midair. It's Robin Bachman. I still got that in the toolbox, too.
That'll work.
A long time ago.
Nice
long
job.
time ago.
All right, Ski, that was a roller coaster, brother. All fascinating. Thank you for sharing with us. Man, that's a lot going on with that one dog.
Well, you start talking about your crazy pet stories, and we'll keep talking about them. We have some here on the KQ Facebook post I'd like to share here right around 9 o'clock. Call them in, please. Let's hear about the time when your pet turned your life upside down. 651-989-ROCK, the talk and text line. And please, hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good morning for Tuesday, April the 16th. Rush getting some work done right there. The spirit of radio. About an hour ago, we talked to Jason Bonham. What a lovely fella Jason Bonham is. He's at the Uptown a week from tonight. Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening. It's a great show. Tickets are still available if you're interested in going. I heartily, full-heartedly, wholeheartedly recommend taking advantage of that opportunity. We've also been talking about a lot of pet trials and tribulations. We love our pets, but man, do they turn our lives upside down way more often than we probably realize on a daily basis. And then you start thinking about it, and you're like, oh yeah, then that happened, and oh yeah, then that happened, and then oh yeah, that happened. Clementine, the greatest dog ever, the one time she almost screwed the pooch, as they say. It didn't involve her screwing another pooch. It involved Rosemary and I lived in Brooklyn for a while, and we had an apartment there. It was a co-op, which is like a condo, but a little different. There's a co-op board. You got to get approved to move into the building. It was kind of a hassle. Like, we found a cool neighborhood and a great building and a great place, and then we had to jump through a bunch of hoops to move in there, and it kind of sucked, but they let us in eventually. Basically, we met a co-op board, and the first question someone said was, do you plan to play your drums in the apartment? And I was like, no, what? No. What? I have a rehearsal space. And they thought there was a couple of classical musicians in the building. Sometimes we hear the cello. I'm like, yeah, it's a drum kit. I'm not going to play it in the apartment. Get over it. Anyway, long story short, we get in, we get approved. The dude that ran the building, the head of the co-op, he was this guy who his whole life was being in charge of that building.
Oh, boy.
Gatekeeper Joe. Total douchebag. We move in. The first week we're living there, open the door, step out onto the sidewalk on a beautiful Saturday spring morning in New York City, and there's this guy. And he's standing there, and he goes, oh, good morning. I said, hey, man, how are you? And he is holding a sandwich in his hand. And our dog never, ever did this or anything even close to this except that one time. She walked right up to him and grabbed that entire sandwich right out of his hand and wolfed it down in 2 bites. And Clementine didn't eat people food, never begged, never did anything. And the one time she did, she knew, I can't stand this guy. Get his sandwich.
Yeah.
I couldn't have planned it any better.
She was vibing off you guys.
She clearly was. I guarantee you. She was like, I can tell Mom and Dad don't like this guy. He's holding his sandwich. Let me take it from here.
Well, at least she did it after the interview, after you were in the building, right?
First thing I thought was, wait a minute. We signed all that paperwork, right? We've already moved in, right? Okay, fair enough. I'll just apologize and pretend I mean it.
Yeah, right. Buy him another sandwich, I guess.
Incredible.
Here's Kim I know we've got some callers. The phone lines are lighting up. And Kim on the KQ Facebook post. My puppy was having zoomies in the yard. We all know what that is.
Yeah.
Hit me at the speed of light. 2 broken bones in my foot. Been in a boot for about 6 weeks. Scheduled for surgery next Wednesday. But I love the heck out of Loretta.
Loretta.
Yeah. Took her out.
That's a good one. Tracy wrote, my daughter's pet peacock attacked her, causing her to tip and break her knee area in multiple places. Happened in December. She's just now able to bear weight. Quite the ordeal. A pet peacock.
Peacock?
Good Lord. I didn't know that was such a thing.
You would know if you heard a peacock. Anybody ever hear a peacock?
Is that
You're hearing one right now.
Is that real?
That's a real peacock.
No. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's all I would
Pretty bird, though.
Yeah. I was thinking of getting one until I just heard that noise. Candace, who's on the horn right now?
We have Leanna from St. Paul.
Leanna, good morning. Leanna, are you with us?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Peacocks.
We're great. Thank you. How's your day so far?
All right. I hope I'm not late for work.
These things happen. You got a story to share. You might be late, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, and the story's worth it, and I hope it's not too inappropriate.
Hard to do around here.
Yeah. So I'll try to make it quick. So my brother has 2 dogs, and we were camping one weekend. And, some dogs don't get along with other dogs and whatever. And his one American Bulldog, big dog, got into a fight with one of the other dogs that were at our campsite and stuff. And I don't know where he heard this, but in a desperate attempt to break up the fight, because it was getting bad, that he stuck his fingers up the dog's ass.
Hello.
And
there we go.
That would start a fight where I come from.
And it did not stop the fight. And I don't know where. He's like, oh, I heard it. That if you do this, then the dog stops the fight.
Where did you hear that? At the VFW?
You heard that on the dark web.
Yeah. And so my brother's name is Neil, and from then on, we were just laughing and stuff. After, the dogs are fine. No animals were hurt, sadly, or anything. But afterwards, we just kept on calling him Neely Two Fingers, but we have to say it in a joke.
I kid you not, I was going to say that. If that had been my family, he would have been Neil Two Fingers for the rest of his life. I love that.
But you have to say it in a Joe Pesci Goodfellas voice, like Neely Two Fingers.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm sorry, he did this to your dog or to the other dog, the other one that was involved in this kerfuffle? But he probably did it to your own dog. I wonder, how's the dog react to him now? Favorably or not so much?
I know. He did not. He didn't back down. He was like, no, I'm just going to keep on going. So, I don't know.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, if you're out there, Neely Two Fingers, we're thinking of you, brother. Nice effort, I guess. Leanna, thanks for the call. See ya.
Thanks. He's going to kill me, okay?
Yeah. I hope he clips his fingernails every day.
Oh, good Lord.
Get under there. That gets in there.
We just went from funny pet stories to a Last Tango in Paris reference. Oh, my God. Never saw that one coming. Candace, who else have we got on the KQ Talking text line?
Kurt from St. Joseph.
Kurt, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're great, brother. What do you got for us?
Good. Another American Bulldog story.
Okay.
My lady friend's dog is about just shy of 40 pounds. And we were having coffee on the porch, and she had a bowl of pistachios, and he knocked them off. And I tried to retrieve them because they had shells on. And the guy ripped my hand. He grabbed onto it in a freaking heartbeat because I was trying to retrieve them. And I'm like, holy cow. Anyway, so another time we're laying on the couch watching TV, and he jumped up and bit me in the face.
Oh, gosh.
Well.
But I mean,
focus on him, not the TV. Yeah.
What's that?
He wanted some attention from you. He didn't like you paying all that attention to the tube.
It was jealousy. You know what I mean? Dogs are like kids. And I want to put this out there. If you don't have patience for an animal, don't have one.
Yeah,
oh, sure.
I see a lot of mistreatment around here. But anyway, and now we're best buds. Comes over, he needs Brussels sprouts and carrots.
Yeah, he trained you up right. He trained you right. That's what they do. Thank you for the call, brother. We appreciate you listening. That's great. I made a huge mistake because, again, I said grew up with dogs, not cats. Our cat Ginger, who we said goodbye to about a year ago, when she was a kitten, she discovered in our bedroom there were some shades, in front of the windows, and around 3 a.m. one day, she just started smacking them loudly. And woke me up, and I was like, "No!" And I throw something at the shade, and she just that was just gave her some attention, so she kept doing it. And I really I was so angry, and I barely remember doing this in my sleep. Second or third night in a row, she's pounding on this shade, waking me up, and I got up and I stumbled into the bathroom off our bedroom where there was a little cat food station, and I just filled her bowl with food. And got back in bed. And she went in there and ate, and that was fine. And I told Rosemary about it in the morning, and she looked at me. She goes, "You did not." I said, "I did." She goes, "You did not." I said, "I did." She goes, "You did not feed that cat at 3 a.m. after she made noise." And I said, "Why?" And she said, well, wait till tonight. And for the rest of that cat's damn life at 3 a.m., it was, let's get some food in the bowl. And then, I started filling that bowl would be the last thing before sleep. It became an obsession. I'd get in bed and be falling asleep and suddenly shoot away. Oh, is there cat food in the bowl yet? Like anything to keep that from happening. But she trained me up just right that day.
Oh, I started getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and one of Maria's cats would, was the one that's a psycho for food, just food obsessed, would be meowing and going off. And I thought, well, I don't want to wake up Maria because I'm up and about, so I would give it some food. And Maria's got them on a strict diet, but I would give it some food and then go off to work. And then after a while, I just quit doing that, and Maria would be like, have you been giving Annabelle any treats or anything like that? Well, I have been in the morning when I leave often. And she said, yeah, when you leave and don't give her a treat, she comes and wakes me up. So we had to, that's all learned behavior. Jennifer here, remember the story? Well, of course you remember the story. I wonder if maybe our listeners heard the story about the bullfrog, one of your dogs. When you were a kid, was it the Springer Spaniel?
Yeah, it was Misty, the cute little bubbly Springer Spaniel who brought an entire bullfrog into her stomach and then brought it into the living room.
Yeah, Jennifer on the KQ Facebook post. I had to laugh when Steve was talking about his dog barfing up a bullfrog because some years back my GSD Misha did the same thing, but the frog was still alive when she hacked him up in the kitchen. Yeah. The frog was blinking his eyes, looking around like, what the F just happened? I scooped it up, put it outside, and it hopped away.
Sure it did.
Lucky frog.
That bullfrog did not ask questions. He just said, nope, I've been waiting for the out, and here it is. Candace, who else have we got on the KQ Talk and Text line?
Jerry from Condi, South Dakota.
Jerry, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I got a funny little cat story. My older sister, had a pure white cat, kitten basically, and it was Friday night, and Mom was watching her beloved Dallas. You couldn't make a peep in that room if you were down there with her watching Dallas. Well, she was running downstairs to wash clothes at the same time, and the cat was running around the basement where the washer and dryer was.
Okay.
Well, Mom didn't notice it, but the cat jumped up on the pile of clothes in her hand, and Mom threw it in the dryer with the clothes, and Terry comes looking for the cat. Where's Whitey? She called the cat Whitey. Where's Whitey at? And I go home. Mom goes, well, he's down in the basement somewhere. Go look for kids to get us out of the room so she could watch Dallas. Well, we go down the basement, and all of a sudden you hear this meow, thump, meow, thump. We open up the dryer, and it's about 30 feet to the steps going out of the basement. That cat maybe stepped once or jumped once and was out of that basement. We couldn't find it the rest of the night.
Yeah, well,
I don't doubt that.
Nice and soft fur, though. Had a nice lilac smell to her.
Man,
I love the shout out to Dallas. What a
really
throwback.
Yeah.
Zepp, is Condi anywhere near where you're from?
Yeah, well, we'll see. So Condi's up just east of Redfield somewhere. I know I played college football with Condi Flash, we called him, and I'm trying like hell to remember his name. He would have graduated in 1983 probably from Condi, but yeah, one of those small towns out there in our neck of the woods, East River, South Dakota.
We're about 50, 60 miles northeast of Woolsey.
Yeah, right on.
Yes, you are.
Thank you for the call, brother. We appreciate the story.
Have a great night. Great day.
Outstanding. All right, South Dakota representing this morning.
Strong.
Dallas, boy, that's a flashback. I was channel surfing the other day and came across, I think it was Dallas. Was that the one with JR?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, JR was on there. Boy, he was a bastard, wasn't he, that JR? Not the actor, the actual character. Just what a dick.
We were talking about earlier in the show just the power of TV back in the day. The whole Who Shot JR thing. I mean, that was an entire American summer of conversation.
Yes, it was.
We didn't watch Dallas in my house for whatever reason. My parents didn't care. But I knew who every character on that damn show was. I mean, everybody did. That was absolutely as big as it gets. And speaking of as big as it gets, on the KQ website, 92KQRS.com, KQ's Minnesota's bestest for 2024. We've got a huge poll, the best things in Minnesota. A whole laundry list of things that you can vote on, and we would recommend you do so. This is a lot of fun. The first category is the bestest Juicy Lucy. I know enough to know that's those are battle lines being drawn right now. Zepp, do you have one, Zepp? Is there one that you say, and I don't care if it's the original, I'm talking about who's the best Juicy Lucy. What jumps off the page to you?
Well, I mean, they all do, but, I'm going to go back to Matt's. That's where I had my first Juicy Lucy. There's a big Matt's 5-8 club who actually concocted the first Juicy Lucy, but I had mine at Matt's. There are so many good ones that aren't even listed on here. I mean, the Minnesota metro area is the worldwide capital of the Juicy Lucy, so the Nook in St. Paul, you can't go wrong with that.
Favorite.
Right, so Candace and Steve, you guys are probably doing the same thing I'm doing. As I just started on this morning, just up on 92KQRS.com, and at first I'm like drawing battle lines, but now I'm going to take it the other way, because now I'm looking at this list going, I'm going to go to every one of these places this summer. I'm going to make an informed vote. I've not had, now there's the Lucy's Burger in Blaine. I'm not familiar. I don't know how long they've been around. Blue Door Pub, I love, but I haven't had the Juicy Lucy, or did I?
Anyway. I'm sorry, man. I've got to bring everything to a screeching halt. Candace Wheeler, proud Minneapolite, Minneapolis assistant. What do you call it? She loves Minneapolis. This is a woman who and I'll just say it flat out. I mentioned St. Paul once, and she goes, I don't know. I don't like the roads. I mean, just looking for any reason.
No.
Looking down that beautiful Nordic nose at St. Paul.
I just, there's the whole joke about crossing the river and how and whatever. I am a Minneapolis girl.
The drunk Irish laying down the roads, I
like to go to St. Paul. I don't know if I'd live there. I like living where I live.
Right, I know.
But the Nook is my favorite.
But that's what I'm saying.
Lucy,
and then all of a sudden I'm saying, where do you go? And she's like, oh, no, I'll make fun of St. Paul because that's what I do as a proud Richfield gal. But when it comes down to the Juicy Lucy, you didn't even hesitate. You went right to the Nook.
You're slipping across enemy lines at night and eating their Juicy Lucy's.
Wow. Well, to be honest, too, I mean, Juicy Lucy's are all cool and dandy, but I'm into the smash burger. We got a huge smash burger scene in the Twin Cities right now. So many food trucks out there. You can just smash it up. But, Juicy Lucy's classic Minnesota.
It certainly is. That is classic Minnesota for sure.
I mean, number 2 on the list, the bestest I don't know who came up with the bestest, but it's starting to work on me here a little bit. Bestest ice cream. Yeah, I'm going to every one of these, just right down the list. So I might have to re-vote because I already voted this morning. You can vote more than once.
Oh, well then.
You just keep on voting. Just
all right. Yeah, now I'm really, this is actually painful. The last hour of a show without someone having brought me a breakfast bagel yet. Bestest sandwich shop, bestest wings, bestest donuts. My answer is yes, all of them, please, as soon as possible.
Bloody Mary. I mean, I'm a Woody's guy over in Bayport. They probably still have the burnout on my motorcycle when I did in their wooden floors.
Attaboy.
And no, not really. It only sounds good. You had to be there. Not cool. That was a long time ago. But the old Piper Inn in Blaine, I see that bloody on here, and oh man. Is anybody else's mouth filling with drool? You're right, Steve. Maybe we'll just keep cooking along here. Let's keep the calls coming on the crazy pet stories, right? Just to ride this sucker all the way to the finish line. When did your pet cause your life to turn upside down? 651-989-ROCK. That's the talk and text line. We'll talk to you soon. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, April the 16th. Good morning. What's going on around here today? Two things. We're talking about the 92KQRS.com Bestest of Minnesota poll, where we would recommend, should go and vote for all your favorite stuff. And there's a lot of stuff to vote for. And it's fascinating. And, man, is it hunger-inducing to discuss the various categories. And before I get into another one of those with you, we've also been talking about our pets, our lovable fur babies, as people call them. Never really cared for that myself, but, I'll allow it. It's acceptable on a day like this.
It's not what I heard.
It's not. Oh, hold on. Watch your mouth. Sometimes the best plans go awry. Pets turn our lives upside down, and we've had a whole lot of that this morning. We've got the KQ Talk and Text line has been lit up, 651-989-ROCK, excuse me, with my Nashville area code getting the best of me. Candace, who's on the horn right now?
Tim from Minneapolis.
Tim, good morning.
Hey, good morning, KQ crew, and you better buckle up the chin strap. It's windy out there. So I've got a good story about our cat. We still have her. Her name is Macy. She's 13 years old. So about 10 years ago, she injured her left little back paw foot, and we tried to get it healed. But through the efforts, it didn't heal, so it turned into like a little rabbit's foot.
Oh, boy.
And they said they could amputate it, or it would just, something would happen, it would fall off. So flashback 10 years ago, all of a sudden we hear screaming in my daughter's room. We go in there, and the cat's foot had fallen off, but the cat was batting it around and playing with it. The rabbit's foot.
You gotta love them. The lucky cat foot.
Yep, so Mom and Dad went in there to try to... decompress the situation, and so we took the rabbit's foot and put it up on a little shelf, and my daughter's bawling, and then my dog Comey came in and ate the foot.
Oh,
yeah,
boy,
yeah. And dogs.
Gone. But, the cat's super resilient and tolerant. She's still alive today, and she brought in a little bunny for us, just like that dog in your previous story. So
it's a gift.
That's the story, and we still get a lot of laughs from it. But boy, cats are resilient. No human could have their foot rot off.
Oh, heck no!
Yeah, well,
I just love the dog bat and cleanup. I'll come in and clear the bases. Boom!
Yeah, that's a
cat foot down the gullet.
Yep, they'll eat anything.
That's great. Thank you for the call, brother. We appreciate it.
All right, have a good day.
Man, goodness, Chauncey just had surgery on his little ankle. Glad to say it's healing nicely. I'd hate to think about him losing a foot along the way.
I know it.
Jeez, Candace would come right in and eat that. No, sorry.
What?
That's terrible to say. Candace, who else is on the horn?
Steven from Shakopee.
Steven, good morning, sir.
Morning, everybody.
Now, is that a V or a PH? How are we spelling Steven?
E-V-E-N.
Attaboy. That's what I like to hear. What do you got for us, brother?
We got a 4-year-old Vipla, Rosie, that decided that she was going to join my wife's sewing circle around the dining room table one night.
Yeah.
And one of her friends dropped a sewing needle with the thread on it.
Uh-oh, boy.
And since the dog probably figured it was food, she swallowed it.
Oh,
yowza!
I mean, like one of those big long ones. Yeah. Okay.
So the gals were on their hands and knees trying to find the needle. They never found it. The wife calls me, says, "Hey, we think the dog swallowed the needle." Lo and behold, you go to the vet, get the X-ray. There it is, sideways in the middle of her throat.
Sideways. Oh no!
Sideways. That's the lucky part, because it didn't go into her stomach.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
$450, most expensive sewing needle I've ever bought.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and I'd say you got off easy if it was only $450 to get that thing out. Man, those pet ER trips go fast towards on the wallet. That's terrifying.
Those sewing clubs.
She got 3 stitches in her throat, and they pushed it out.
Nice. Ooh, you got lucky there. Thank you for the call, Stephen.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
I just hope that when they did the X-ray, the first thing the radiologist said was, "I've seen the needle and the damage done." I mean, maybe that's just me.
That would make it worth the $450.
I break into Neil any chance I get, so maybe that's just me. Candace, who else we got on the horn?
Don from Roseville.
Don, good morning, sir. Dono! Don't think Don, are you with us?
My sister had a visa, and this dog, we get into everything when she's gone to work. And eat anything in sight. But so she had a huge bottle of Hershey's syrup, which supposedly is supposed to be toxic for dogs or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she would lock all the cupboards and stuff. She put a wooden spoon across. The dog ate the spoon off and got into that jumbo-sized Hershey's syrup. Ate the whole bottle and the plastic, too. And the dog was just fine. Didn't bother her one bit.
I know. They say you can't let them have the chocolate.
But I had a dog named Max, a buddy gave me, that was unbelievable. This dog cost me everything. Broken leg, lacerations, Lyme disease twice. Kicked his tooth out one time while I kicked it, and I went to kick the football. The dog grabbed it, split his molar in 4 pieces, and drooled all over for a day. But then the dog finally, he liked to run a lot. The dog could clear a 6-foot chain link fence with the 3 barbs on top. This dog would jump it and get away and run for the night. He could always come back, but anyways, one night he went out. He got poisoned somehow, and so ended up having to take him into the vet, and they had him in a coma for like 4 days, and they would bring him out every day, and he was not doing well. So finally on the 4th day, I called down there. I said, "How's Max today?" "Well, he's awake." And he said, "But he seems kind of mean." So I'm like, "I'll be right down there." So I run down there, and they point to this hallway where the kennels are, and he's in there. So I run in there quick, and they're all standing in the hallway looking through the window. They wouldn't even go down the hallway because he was just crazy. I get in there and look, and he's all full of IVs, and they got wires and tubes hanging out of him all over the place. And I go in there, and he kind of growls at me like that Cujo deal. I'm like, "Max, what's up?" All of a sudden, he just starts wagging his tail and he was so happy to see me. I threw open the kennel, pulled all the crap out of him. "Come on, boy, let's go." And I never did put a leash on a dog. I hadn't trained well. He healed me. We went up to the front desk. He sat right next to me. I paid my bill, and away we went.
That's
and
awesome.
Max was just fine.
I like that.
But thanks, guys. I listen to your story every day.
Thank you. Well, thank you, man. That's fantastic. What a story. I like the Cujo deal. Got to remember that one myself.
Yeah, no kidding.
Man, you think you know an animal, and then like Chauncey, his sister dog Zelda, we brought her home from the vet once, and she had a whole new prescription for some pain pills. She had her hips were giving her some trouble, and he decided, I'll just eat all 60 of her pain pills. Yeah, that was a quick run to the ER and a 4-night stay in the ICU as his kidneys debated on whether to ever work again. Totally fine now, completely bounced back.
Right.
I'm convinced he's made out of silly putty. He's just always going to bounce back no matter what.
They have a way. I know when I say puppy teeth, we all know what I'm talking about. Those little razor sharp suckers.
Yeah.
Barb here on the KQ Facebook page, while playing with our new 4-month-old puppy, her razor sharp tooth caught my hand. Guess how many stitches Barb got? Just take a rough guess.
Of a hand thing, I'd
From
say
a puppy tooth.
solid half dozen.
Yeah, 9.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Plus the 9 freaking stitches from the puppy teeth. They are
Jeez.
incredibly sharp.
Incredibly sharp, and the puppy hasn't learned yet how to control the jaw strength either. It's the
weapon.
worst of both worlds.
Yeah, right.
Every time. 651-989 Rock is the KQ Talk and text line. Candace, who else we got on the horn?
Ross from Burnsville.
Ross, good morning.
Good morning. I got a good pet story for you.
Lay it on us.
All right. Well, set the stage a little bit. My wife is 8 months pregnant. I don't know about you, but she had the super sniffer nose. I mean,
oh, yeah. 100%. 2 for 2 in our house.
And we had our house on the market and going to move closer to the city. So one night, dogs are barking up a storm like 2 a.m. I get up, and I'm like, all right, fine, let them out, go do their business. And I'm just sitting there. It's 2 a.m., waiting for them to finish up. And it taken forever. I'm finally like, God dang, what's going on? So I call them in, and I'm like, all right, time to go to bed. Get up to bed, and oh, my God, the smell. I could smell it. They had cornered a skunk outside and got sprayed. And so they run up, jumped into the bed, snuggled up with my wife. She went to the bathroom and was puking. It was horrible. We had to take the house off the market for 2 weeks while we
sure you did.
Got rid of the smell. It was a fun time.
That's a rough one, Ross, and one I can relate to. With our second baby, Rosemary was about 6 months pregnant, and our dog got sprayed in the backyard. Didn't come running back into the house because we knew it had happened, but a skunk blast from 40 yards away to a pregnant woman, it might as well have been the skunk was right in her face. I mean, I know exactly what that was like, what you experienced, because, man, Rosemary was sideways for days. Her nose was on secret top alert, status, and then that happened. It was the worst. Thanks for the call, Ross. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that was a tough lesson for my brother and I to learn, because we would defend our dog. Dogs always defend us. We're country kids out there, and not sprayed once by a skunk, not twice, but 3 times. A lady sprayed by a skunk out there. And I remember Dad going, Cody will be fine. Cody sleeps outside. He's a farm dog. He gets sprayed. He'll be all right. We've got to bring you into the house. Clothes have to be thrown away, because there's smelling a skunk that's on the side of the road when you drive past it. There's smelling a skunk when it's out in the tree strip over there. And then there's getting the blast right on you. And that's a special kind of pungent. That'll make your eyes water.
I thought I had been very close to a skunk spray up until I was very close to a skunk spray. And then I recognized, it's kind of like you've thought, oh, yeah, I've had the flu. And then you get the flu and you're like, oh, no, I've never had the flu. I've just had bad colds. When Clementine took a spray to the face, I was probably 10 yards away. I saw it happen. And it smelled chemical. It was. It smells like a tire factory is on fire.
Yeah, it's like a CS gas, or what do they call that? A pepper spray or something like that. Yeah.
I had no idea, and I realized, like, oh my God, I've never been even close to one of these, and I thought I'd been right on top of them in the past. Yeah, driving by at 90 miles an hour from a mile away, you smell one. Holy smokes, man! Getting that close. That's a life-changing moment. Candace, have we got somebody else on the horn?
Scott from Litchfield.
Scott, good morning.
Morning.
What do you got for us?
We had a beagle, and it would eat anything and everything.
Sure.
Well, we were at work, and my wife had bought 6 dozen cookies, had them on the counter in the kitchen. And I came home from work, and usually the dog would meet me at the door to go outside right away, and it didn't meet me. So I walked in, and here's 5 empty packages on the floor.
Oh, boy.
It had eaten 5 dozen. It left 1 dozen M&M cookies it didn't like. So I went looking for the dog, and I couldn't find it. Finally, I find it underneath our bed. It couldn't get out. I had to lift the bed so the dog could get out.
Got wedged.
It had swelled up the cookies, I imagine. And
sure.
But the dog couldn't get out. went up there to hide.
Well, yeah, I mean, just eat 60 cookies yourself. The same thing will happen to you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I've
definitely.
been close.
Man, that is rough. But everything turned out okay? Dog all right?
Everything turned out. We had to walk it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I love that your wife buys cookies by the dozen, like 6 dozen cookies, really stocking up.
Had them all ready for something at church. And
Sure.
Yeah.
she came home and I said, I'll take care of the dog. You got to get cookies again.
Wow. Thank you for the call, Scott. We
You
appreciate it.
Bye.
Zelda, the late great Zelda Gorman, one time found, at Costco, and I'm like, I think I need a box of Cliff Bars. Like,
yes,
you
do.
would never think to buy more than one at a time, but at Costco, you're like, I need that box of 18 Cliff Bars. Bring it home, and then walk in the kitchen, and Zelda's laying on her side, and I count 7 Cliff Bar wrappers. Like, she didn't eat that. She somehow managed to get 7 Cliff Bars and leave the wrappers behind.
Yeah.
And that was a miserable animal for about 48 hours, man. That's like just pouring cement anyway, and 7 of them, I was like, oh, baby, that's rough.
Yeah, I remember Cody getting into the house one time, and Mom was getting ready for, I don't know, one of the big ones, Easter, Thanksgiving, and she had, how they buy an entire grocery cart of buns, dinner rolls. I don't know how many she had, 20 packages of dinner rolls, and Cody made it through just about all of them. A lot of the plastic bags, not all of the plastic bags. It honestly looked like the stove had exploded or something like that.
Ouch.
It was everywhere, but I thought if you wadded all that up into one big dough ball, it would be the size of like an exercise ball. You know what I mean? How did get all that in there? But then just laying outside on his side, slept it off, and no dinner rolls for the big dinner that year.
Yeah, he got them all out of the way early. We got time for one more caller, I believe, Candace. Who we got?
All right. Mike from Mound.
Mike from Mound. Bring it, brother. What do you got for us?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, I just set the scene a little bit. It was negative 30 back in quite a few years ago, and I had a dog lab, and we let him back inside, and the screen door came back and caught his tail, and he pulled through, and at the same time shot diarrhea against the frozen door, and then ran in, and then got all excited and started wagging his tail and threw blood all over our white countertops and
all the fluids
and everything, cabinets, and finally had to get him down, taped him up, and then he was all good to go. But he made 2 big messes.
Yeah, that
damn
sounds
screen
like
door on the tail.
And 30 below doesn't make anything easy either.
No.
All right, the man from Mound closing it out. Thank you for the call, Mike. That's a good one. Boy, thanks for everybody for calling in. We had a lot of great moments on the show today. If dogs and cats ruining your life is what makes for a great moment anyway. We have just enough time to take a quick look back. On this day in 1996, April 16th, the Chicago Bulls won their 70th regular season game on their way to a 72-10 final record. They also won the championship that year, beating the Seattle Supersonics. That makes them the best team ever. To my son and all of his friends, yes, the 2016 Golden State Warriors won 73 games in the regular season, but they lost in the finals. Back off, Warriors. Suck it. You'll never top the 96 Bulls. That's an old man on his porch confidently stretching out and saying, keep it walking. On this day in 1999, Wayne Gretzky retired. He played 21 years, one of those in the World Hockey Association, 20 in the NHL. And at retirement, I'm sure the knees and the hips were ready for a break, but he was still great.
Yeah, he had led the Rangers for 3 seasons in a row in scoring, and 2 of the last 3 years, I had to look it up, 2 of the last 3 years led the league in assists. I mean, he was all-star material when he skated off the ice for the last time.
All-time leading scorer in NHL history by such a wide margin. If you remove his goals, he's still the all-time leading scorer.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, no, there's Wayne Gretzky, and then there's a whole bunch of other really great hockey players, but there's only one great one.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.